Baseball is dead.
Rest in peace.
I feel like every single episode we've done so far, I've started off by saying, I don't know where to start. Not the case today.
We got a lot of different places we could start.
We got a lot of different places we could start, but I think we have to start by saying, hey, we fucking last episode said, hey, let's get Joe West on the pod, and then we got Joe West in the pod.
That's a pretty good get. That's a pretty good manifestation.
Yeah. How did that happen? Are we allowed to say, Jake?
Yeah. I mean, someone reached out to you, said they sauced him your number, and then I just found some random guy's email who was attached to the podcast, shot him an email, and next thing you know, he's popping up on a Zoom.
It's that easy.
Hey, that's why Jake's the producer because he fucking produces. That's why.
It's that easy. I've always thought that it would be very cool. I mean, it's something that you and I talked a lot about in the past, getting umpires on because of the kind of conversations that they have behind closed doors, the kind of shit that they talk about, and just how cool and down to earth they actually are. And to have, like, I mean, I'm not fluffing it here. Like, that's the guy, is it not? When you like,
that's the head honcho.
Like,
well,
and there's
I feel like someday we're gonna need Angel Hernandez on the podcast, but again, those guys, they're not gonna come on until they're retired.
No, and I was just gonna say, unless you get Angel, and honestly, like, an active Angel Hernandez is more valuable to me than a
Why?
retired.
He'd be so restricted.
Because I would want to hear the restriction. I would want to see where he is personally drawing the lines.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yes. That's.
Well, I mean, as you'll hear in this interview, and if you recall, I mean, it was a public thing. Joe West got suspended just for busting Adrian Beltre's balls. Like, he made like a joke and got suspended for that. Like, he said he was like too sensitive or something like that.
Well, yeah, he just said that he was a complainer. He's like the worst complainer in the league, and he said it, tongue in cheek. Yeah. And Beltre even came out and was like, "No, I get it. He's just talking shit. Like, he's just busting balls. Like, what do you want me to?" Right. And it, like
that's what players and umpires do when there's no mics around, and then you put a mic there, and now you get a suspension.
Yeah.
To be fair, dude, fucking umpires throw people out of the game all the time.
That's true.
That's all they do is throw people out. So if you get a suspension, it's like, now you know how it feels.
Yeah. Yeah. Now you're fucking gonna hit the showers, Joe. By the way, congratulations to Joey. Baseball Doesn't Exist, the new video, the Bryce Harper video. If you haven't checked it out already, 1 million views. A million. Yeah. I would clap, but I'm actually
you have the clap.
Normally, I would be in my little podcast studio in Boston, Massachusetts. I'm still getting used to saying Boston and not Saugus. Boston, Massachusetts. But I have to hold my microphone because I'm in a hotel room right now in Secaucus, New Jersey.
You're doing what in New Jersey?
I'm in...
You logging in out there by yourself?
Secaucus, New Jerszy.
Oh, what goes on out there?
I think
isn't there a
Giants
landfill out there?
Yeah, I think the Giants
and the Jets. Jersey?
They play out here. I've been to WrestleMania a couple times here. WrestleMania 20, what was that? 29.
Sure.
WrestleMania 29 and 34, whichever one. Kofi, you know Dallas.
Yeah.
You're a big wrestling guy
for sure.
Yeah, I'm just hanging out. Love me some New Jersey,
Yeah, there's just not many things that would bring me to Secaucus, New Jersey. There's only one thing that has really ever brought me to Secaucus, New Jersey.
It's the people. It's the people, Dallas.
For sure.
You walk down the street and, you're never going to find a happier bunch than the Secauconians.
Secaucans. Yeah, it's a beautiful small town atmosphere that you just don't get anywhere else. A little slice of Americana right out there in the Northeast.
Yeah, the coffee shops they got, to die for. Yeah. Yeah, you can't help but get giddy walking down the street and just getting all up in the face of a Secaucus. You ever been to Secaucus, Joey?
No.
Oh, I got to take you sometime. I take the kids every year. It's an experience.
Just a couple of guys doing Secaucus together.
Yeah. Yes, I'll be here today and tomorrow. It's a quick one, in and out of Secaucus.
Just in and out of the cocks.
Yep, in and out. And I'm excited.
What do you got going there?
Here?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just told you we're gonna take a little scenic trip today. Walk around and you know what they do in Secaucus, Dallas.
What's the major export of Secaucus?
Coffee beans.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Makes sense.
Yeah, that's where Connecticut, Vermont, that's where they get all their coffee beans is Secaucus.
It's the Garden State.
It is the Garden State grown on the plains of Secaucus. Yeah. The finest dark roast beans you've ever come across.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, business is booming over here. So, I just had to be a part of it. I'm excited. I'm also excited about the DraftKings Sportsbook.
Well, tell me more about it, please.
Yeah, well, here's the thing, Dallas. It's time to step up to the plate with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. New customers can bet just $5 on any team to win and get $200 in free bets if they do. If the Sportsbook isn't available in your state, you can still take a swing at stacks of green with DraftKings daily fantasy baseball contest. New customers can play for free for thousands in prizes with their first deposit. Pick a lineup of 2 pitchers and 8 batters while staying under the salary cap and rack up points for hits, runs, strikeouts, and more. DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable. Best of all, you can deposit and withdraw your cash whenever you want. All you got to do is download the DraftKings Sportsbook app right now. Use the promo code JARED, Jared. Bet just $5 to win $200 in free bets if your team wins their game. That is promo code Jared at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. Got to be 21 plus to play. Restrictions apply. MLB trademarks used with permission. See the show notes for details. So I've obviously been putting picks out there, Dallas. And I hit a parlay 2 nights ago. If you bet my picks individually, you're like kind of up big. Like all my fucking parlays get spoiled because of one. Like I hit most of them and then like I just fucking miss one. So if you're just betting these picks individually, you're rolling in it right now. You're up units.
Oh, Jared, do you know how many people wake up on Monday and tell that same story at the water cooler? Bro, unbelievable. I'd be fucking killing it right now if the 5th leg of my parlay would have hit. Unfucking believable. 4 for 5. I got
people bet them individually. People will take parlays and bet them individually.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's going to be matchups that you're probably writing.
Yeah.
Sure. So you go ahead and dabble in that individually.
Yeah, you know who fucked up my parlay last night?
Who did that?
Shohei Ohtani.
Ooh, why? What was Shohei?
He only struck out 4, I think. I think the over-under was like 6.5. Kind of bullshit.
That's tough.
Kind of bullshit, Dallas. Don't love that. First topic that we got to start with, obviously. We're going to hit on this just to, we'll get to the Joe West interview after this. We got a bunch of stuff we got to talk about today. But before we get to Joe West, the Mets-Cardinals kerfluffle.
We got a fracas.
Yeah. I mean, I'm gonna back Nolan here, obviously. Mets fans calling Nolan Arenado a pussy. What are we talking about? So Pete Alonso gets hit up near the head, and the Mets have been getting hit a lot this year. I get that. I get it's frustrating. And I get that, I don't know. I mean, I can't speak to everyone's intent, but I think we can all sit here and agree that the intent to hit Mets batters this year, most has been unintentional. And you've heard Chris Bassit, we'll talk about that too. Speaking about the baseballs and how they're different and guys can't get a grip and this and that. I think in baseball, it's weird. Like, if you were to explain this to someone that's not a baseball fan, they'd be like, what the fuck are you talking about? They didn't do it on purpose, so you're going to get mad about it? It's not on purpose. It's like, well, if you can't throw a heater up and in, if you can't control that pitch, then don't throw that pitch. So when Mets hitters are getting plunked left and right, and it's obviously not just the Cardinals that this happened with, you had the issues with the Nationals as well. You have every right to get upset. And Nolan gets a fastball up and in. Didn't hit him. A little too close for comfort. Maybe a little too high for comfort as well. And he got upset. And to Buck Showalter's point, let me make sure I get the quote right. I mean, I know the gist of it, but just to get the quote right, Buck Showalter said, I know our player got hit in the head and went to first base. So he's basically saying Pete Alonso got hit in the fucking head and he took his base. Didn't make a stink about it. I mean, the dugouts did. Buck Showalter did. But Pete Alonso just took his base. Nolan Arenado gets that heater up and in, and he's looking out at the pitcher and he's jawing and he's not happy about it. In most cases in baseball, and I'm sure that you've seen a lot of this, Dallas, if you're going to retaliate against a team that keeps plunking you, it's not necessarily that you're going after the person responsible. That's now impossible because of the universal DH. You're going to go after that team's best player. And right now, aside in the National League, it doesn't get any better than Nolan Arenado. He's right now, statistically, as we sit here today, the best player in the National League. So that's the guy that you go after. I get the point that Buck's trying to make, saying, well, Pete got actually hit in the fucking head and he just took his base. You got like buzzed a little bit and now you're upset. We've been getting hit a ton. So I get what Buck's trying to say. But the Mets fans, they were essentially trying to say that Nolan was a pussy because he was making a big deal out of it when he didn't even get hit. I mean, Nolan's been out there before. Like that's one dude that you absolutely cannot call pussy. And I even had to like respond to someone and be like, hey, just because you don't charge the mound every single time that you get thrown at, you can't get your non-pussy card vacated. That's not how that works. You go out there once, and Nolan, out of all the mound charges that we've seen in recent years, Nolan, I feel like there's some dudes that will go out there for show. There's some dudes that will take their time going out there because they want like the catcher or the first baseman to intervene. Nolan wanted all the smoke. All the smoke.
It is the example of, and if you've ever handled firearms at any point in time, you learn a lot about gun safety very early. You also are told by somebody at some point in time, you never point this at another person. You don't point it at anybody for any reason. The only time you see people point this gun at somebody is if they are prepared to use it. Those are usually police officers, military personnel, and then obviously if you are in a home protection situation and someone is violating your space and your family's safety, and that's your means of defense, then it's understood. But the take-home message is you're just not doing this unless you are prepared to follow, right? To follow through with what has to come. And that's how Nolan Arenado kind of treats charging the mound. Like, if you're going to do this, you need to be prepared for what's coming. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to sit here and talk about it with you. You've been asked to do something. You're the one that possesses the fastball to get the message across. You should have an idea of what's coming. Whether or not it was your idea, like, you've been around the game. You know, if your number gets called, you know what you got to do. You know what business you got to handle. From there, the fellow on the other end, you probably ought to have a pretty good feel of what that reaction is going to be like. That's just for your personal safety, just for you, and aside from your team and everything else, because you're the one throwing the ball. And if it's Nolan Arenado in the box, you need to be prepared for that bullet to ricochet and come right the fuck back at you. Straight up.
Where do you fall on this, Joey? Are you team Nolan or are you team Buck? Or are you somewhere in the middle?
I'm definitely not team Buck, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah.
Well, I get it. I mean, they got hit like how many times? They got like the record for getting hit, and I think they got hit 3 times in one game against.
Yeah, they got hit 3 times on
Cardinals,
Tuesday,
which is like the 3rd time that's happened for them, and they get hit. I mean, Alonso's been hit in the head twice.
Yeah, what have they been hit 19 times or some shit like that?
I don't know, but it's a lot, and they're gonna set the record. But do you think that guy hit Nolan in the head on purpose? Was trying to go up there?
No, I think he fucking wasn't. It was like an 83 mile an hour curveball.
Was it?
I think so.
What, that he threw up and in at Nolan? It was a 94 mile an hour fastball.
Oh, what am I thinking of? Am I thinking of
Alonso?
Alonso got hit with a changeup.
Someone got hit with 83.
He should have charged the bound. That would have been dope. He wanted to. You could tell he got up like he was going to do it.
Yeah, it was 94 to Nolan. 94 to Nolan.
Yeah. Look, what Buck is saying is exactly what you would say to try to diffuse the situation to an extent, and then all at the same time kind of redirect the blame or redirect the focus. Not blame necessarily, but the focus on Nolan Arenado's actions, which could help, which it looks like it did, get your guy out from underneath the suspension guillotine, right? Because Pete Alonso hasn't been suspended. Pete Alonso wasn't ejected, right? Was he?
No. Is Nolan, the camera work here kind of sucked, if we're being honest. Like, did Nolan start to go out there?
No. So what happened is Nolan.
I'm looking at it right now. Like
Nolan got the fastball up and in, and
–
that's when he's telling the guy out on the mound, I think it's Lopez, the guy out on the mound, like, hey, fucking lower that shit. Not up here. Not up here. You want to come in? You want to come get me? Come fucking get me. Not up here. And then that's when Nitto comes over and is like trying to say something, and Nolan's like, buddy, you're the one putting the fingers down. Get the fuck out of my face. Like, you think I want to hear from you right now? You think I want to hear your bullshit about how he's not trying to do what we all fucking know he's trying to do? Get the fuck right out of my face. Otherwise, you're going to catch these hands.
You think this is going to help the Mets not get hit, though? Do you think the Mets, like, I don't know what the Mets do, because they've been getting so pissed, and Buck Showalter, every time they get hit, they show him and he's like arms crossed, mean mugging. But it's like, what do you do? Are they going to stop throwing inside now?
No. Look,
because none of them are on purpose.
And that's where the conversation with Chris Bassit comes into play, because Chris Bassit was very vocal about his feelings and his thoughts on the baseball and the impact that has on being able to control the ball, right? Just having a feel. And Miles Michaelis comes out in response to Chris Bassit's comments about the baseball and pitchers know it. And Miles Michaelis, again, paraphrasing, said something to the effect of, like, why don't you take responsibility for it? Like, you're the one with the baseball, or, you know, like it just, like, I what?
Yeah, and Chris Bassett wasn't even the one hitting people either. So.
No, and honestly, like, when I heard Michaelis come out and say what he said, it was, I don't know, it rubbed me the wrong way. It's very weird, because as a pitcher, you understand what the guys across the league are going through. You understand what they're dealing with. It's the same ball you're dealing with. The same difference in baseballs that you're dealing with. I just don't. What was earned on the behalf of Michaelis by coming out and saying what he said about that? Like, did that earn him credit in the clubhouse? Did that earn him street cred with the boys? Like, I don't think so. And frankly, across the league, I'm not saying that guys are going to look at Michaelis and be like, oh, what, you don't understand what guys are going through? Because it's and I hate to use this because, you know, no pun intended, but it's sticky, because guys who feel strongly about PEDs, those guys exist. Like, nope, cheaters, get them out of here, blah, 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 blah. Don't want to hear any bullshit about it. And then there's other people who are like, look, we understand it was an error in the game. Like, you just got to fucking move on from it. And the sticky substance stuff, some pitchers are like, nope, don't. I never used it. Don't need it. The fact that anybody would ever tell you that they do need it is complete and total bullshit. Well, that's not true. but both things can be true at the same time, where the balls can be having an impact on what's going on with the pitchers, and at the same time, guys could still be getting drilled on purpose.
Pete Alonso had an interesting quote after this. He said, if I wanted to put someone in the hospital, I easily could, but I was out there just trying to protect my guys.
Yeah, I mean, I'm straight up coming from a dude who looks like he had his truck rolled down the side of a cliff during spring training, decided to kick the fucking windshield out himself and crawl out of the truck and then sashay on down to camp. Yeah, I feel like he's probably a pretty strong dude that could probably do some damage if he was pissed off. Yeah, I'm not for 1 minute just not going to believe Pete Alonso there.
That's like when the Red Sox and Yankees had that brawl in 2018, and you had Judge and Stanton out there. I think maybe it was Judge. I mean, Luke Voigt, too. The Red Sox got a little guy team back then. It was like Brock Holt, Andrew Benintendi, Mookie Betts, Jackie Bradley, maybe average 5'9" across the board. Just little guys, not 5'11" beasts like me.
Well, the quote from Michaelis is, "It's not the ball's fault. Take some responsibility for your actions."
So that's what he's saying is basically we're doing it on purpose. That's kind of like, I don't think he's actually trying to say that, but that's what it comes out as, because they're hitting the Mets. And the Mets are like, Bassett's like, maybe it's just the ball. It's an accident.
Right. And well, like, so to your point, Joey, it does kind of make you think, well, okay, if it's not the ball's fault and our guys are being drilled by your guys 3 times on a fucking Tuesday, then why wouldn't we get angry about that?
Right.
Why wouldn't we have something to say about that? Because if you're living in a world where you're in complete and total control of every single baseball you touch, then the hit by pitch should no longer exist, right? Nobody's ever going to get hit again. Thank God Miles Michaelis took care of that for us. But now every time someone does get hit, it's on purpose. There's nothing else to take from that statement. If that's how you want it to be, if that's the world you want everyone to live in, where people just need to take responsibility for their actions, then the next guy that Miles Michaelis drills that takes exception to it should be able to walk right out there and bury Miles Michaelis under the fucking mound if he feels so. Am I off for that?
He'd have to take some responsibility.
Right? I mean, that's that exactly, Joey, because that's like, imagine if Giancarlo Stanton steps in, Miles Michaelis lets one go, catches him on the shoulder pretty close to the jaw that got smacked a while ago. And Giancarlo Stanton's like, you know what? Motherfucker's been coming up and in first at bat of the series against me for the last 4 years. I am fucking sick of this shit. Time to make an example out of this motherfucker. And that motherfucker just happens to be Miles Michaelis. I wouldn't be here to listen to anything Miles Michaelis had to say after the fact, unless it was him saying, yeah, I drilled him right in the shoulder.
I feel like in terms of pitchers just owning up to drilling batters, the only example I can think of is Cole Hamels, who was just like, yeah, like I drilled Bryce Harper just to, welcome to the big leagues. And then he got suspended for it immediately.
And that's why guys don't ever say shit.
All right.
That's why it took Jared Weaver being retired for a while to freely and openly talk about drilling Seager.
Weave has been wearing it on Twitter for, what was it? The O'Neal pimp job. And he was like, yeah, this makes me puke. And my mention, it was a response to my tweet. Yes. So I'm seeing all of this, and he's just getting absolutely shredded for days and days and days. But he's another one of those guys. He's like a MadBum, where it's like, yeah, I can't help it. I'm just.
Well, Jared, it all goes back to how you are brought up in the game of baseball. Yeah. And Weave, old school guy, man. Like straight up, like you're taught how to do things differently. You're taught how to handle things differently. And that's why it's a clash of old school and new school right now. Celebrations, everything. And it's not just going to like go away in a year or two, as we're seeing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like the shitty part about not shitty, I guess, but like the thing about the Michaelis stuff is like, dude, like I feel like he's got a little grit in him, or I thought I thought he did. So like
he does.
It's disappointing to see him just so readily dismiss the comments from a colleague when he knows himself that the baseballs have been fucked with to the point where it has led to guys. I mean, the blister injuries and shit like that. Like, whose fault is that? Is that the player's fault?
No.
So do you not get to blame the baseball then? Because
Sure.
it's the product that is actually causing physical injuries to some guys.
Yeah.
But we don't get to like take responsibility for that. Like get in the training room. God damn you, soak your fingers in pickle juice and piss to prevent blisters. Like where does it stop? So like I get it, take responsibility, but you also have to, take the temperature of the room.
Yeah. I think, just kind of piggybacking off of this topic, you can very clearly see that Buck Showalter has made a significant impact on this Mets team in terms of the way they play the game, the way that they carry themselves, the confidence that they have, the "you're not going to fuck with us" mentality. I think a lot of that starts at the top with Buck, and a lot of times, whenever a team is not performing well, you'll see a manager get fired, and it's like, well, is it really the manager's fault? Like, look at the roster. There's just not a very good team. And then sometimes when there's just a really good team, the manager will get all the credit. You'll win manager of the year. And it's like, well, I mean, like Hubs could have managed that team and they still would have won the World Series. There's teams like that as well. But I think in this particular case, with this group of guys, you can see the effect that Buck Showalter is having on this team. I think you can very fairly and accurately credit him with how well they're playing and why they're doing the things that they're doing.
He's got two exceptional pieces in that clubhouse. You got Max Scherzer on the pitcher side of things, who's come in and instantly become the vocal impact guy. And you've got Pete Alonso, who is the position player side of things, right? You've got two absolute fucking beasts, vocal dudes who aren't here for the bullshit, love the game, but will absolutely rip your head off in the heat of passion. And you're not going to go about things the same old way with those two dudes in the clubhouse under a Buck Showalter type, because Buck's mentality has allowed the mentality of Max Scherzer and Pete Alonso to come out and really shine through and really carry over into the clubhouse on another level where everybody starts to take that attitude with them through their workday, which is just a whole bunch of dudes who want to kick your ass.
This is cool. We can get to this on the other side of the Joe West interview. But this is from MLB Bowman. The Braves FaceTimed Ronald Acuña Jr. around 1 a.m. and asked him if he wanted to play right field tonight. He started screaming and celebrating. That's awesome. All right. You wanted it. You got it. The baseball is dead. Sit down with the king of umpiring in Major League Baseball, Mr. Joe West.
The cowboy.
All right, we're here with Joe West. How do I introduce you? Do you want to be introduced as an umpiring legend, or do you want to be introduced now as a baseball podcaster? Because you're both. Which one do you want to come first?
The cowboy.
Yeah.
I don't know about the legendary stuff. I was just there a long time. You could say he's an old guy.
No, legend, absolute legend. But the podcasting thing, we were just kind of joking about technology and how had things change. The Zoom era, if you will. Here you are with a podcast, my friend. How does that come about? How does that idea even spawn in the mind of the great Joe West?
Well, Mike Claiborne is an announcer for the Cardinals, and he came to me with this idea. He says, I've sat with you and Mike Shannon before and hear all the stories you tell about the times you were here and there and whatever, and all the musicians that you know. And I said, we should put this in a podcast. I said, what's a podcast? I had no idea what he was talking about. He said, well, we'll go on and we'll use the audio and the video, and you tell these stories and you just tell them about what happened in baseball. I said, look, I'll do it on one condition, that we make the umpire look like he's not a two-headed monster like everybody made us out to be all those years that I worked and show people that umpires are real people. They have feelings and they have families and everything. And he said, that's the deal. So he asked me to put together a list. And the list, he says, these are people we want you to have on this show, and you know, talk to them and everything. So this is where the list started. Rick Hummel is a Hall of Fame writer. I mean, the next one on the list was the Oak Ridge Boys. The next one on the list was Larry Gatlin and Johnny Bench and Donnie Anderson. They're all three friends.
Yeah, okay.
The next one on the list was Peter Ubroth. The next one is Mike Shannon. Then there was Kurt Bavacqua and the Chicken.
Yes. Then
Jerry Reinsdorf, which we get him on there, it will be hilarious because Jerry Reinsdorf couldn't figure out why I kept kicking out Ozzie Guillen. And I had to tell him, well, I didn't tell you to hire this maniac. You hired him. You know, and then Hawk Harrelson, who beat me up when I'd call balks on Mark Burley and later wants to play golf with me because my handicap's high. You know. Then there's Bill Anderson, there's Rick Sutcliffe, and the boys from Alabama. I mean, the list never ends. Here's my favorite though, Jackie Autry. Jackie Autry has agreed to do this podcast with me because she was the president of the American League once the commissioner's office took over everything. So they had to pick somebody to be, and she was the most qualified because she and her husband ran the Angels, you know,
yes.
And
the singing cowboy. So is there a relationship? I mean, what kind of relationship was that? Was there any inspiration there with Gene Autry, the singing cowboy, and his wife? And obviously there's a friendship there. So how did that blossom?
I didn't meet Jackie until Gene was gone. But she was involved in baseball, and then she was involved in negotiations and stuff. And she carried a lot of weight in the American League. A lot of people don't realize that. And it was really funny. She said, you know, Gene loved you. I said, Jackie, you know, he was in the American League. I didn't have him really as she said, yeah, but you didn't take any shit, and that's why he liked you. Yeah. But she's been a friend for years, and I think the first time I saw her was a playoff somewhere. I think it was in Anaheim. Yeah, it had to be. Yeah, and then she was friends with the Lavella family. Sam Lavella produced every hee-haw there ever was. Yeah. And Sam Lavella was one of the people that helped me get on to sing at the Grand Ole Opry. And it's really funny. Sam's kid, Torrey, is the manager for the Arizona Diamondbacks. Mm-hmm. A lot of people don't know that. You know, when he came through the minor leagues as a player, he was with the Yankees, and he comes to bat, and he steps in the box, and he looks back at me, and he says, my dad said I better say hello to you. And I said, who's your dad? He said, Sam Lavella. Oh, how's he doing? Everything all right? How's your mother doing? You know, we're talking back and forth. The catcher looks at him and says, can we play now?
he didn't realize that zone had just about disappeared for him.
That's amazing.
But he was a good kid, and he worked his way into being a manager. I mean, he worked with the Blue Jays. He worked for the Red Sox, and then they gave him the chance. And Sam used to come to the games. He was a good guy.
So the podcast is called 5460, the Joe West podcast, and it's coming on May 2nd. Is this something that you're going to be doing once a week? Is it whenever you feel like it? Like, what are you locked in for?
I think they're going to do it once a week. I haven't figured out which day of the week they're going to try to broadcast it, but we're talking to people now, trying to get people to show up when we can record it. The hard part of putting this together is getting everybody's schedule to put them together like this.
Yes, that is a hurdle.
Yeah, there are three guys at the golf course right now that are mad at you guys for me talking to you because they could be taking my money. You know what I mean?
That's incredible.
You you made the comment about the reason that the late Gene Autry loved you. Jackie Autry said so because you don't take any shit. Joe, there's an iconic moment that I'm sure you're probably already sick of talking about, and you got that smile on your face and you got that giggle going too, which is so good to see, so fun to see, because like you talked about with the podcast, you're gonna feel the humanity of umpires, right? You're gonna know that they actually bleed blood. But you and one of the game's great cowboys of its own right, Madison Bumgarner, are staring each other down. The iconic stare down, the epic stare down. What allows you to be that sort of personality in the game, knowing that you're dealing with that kind of personality out on the mound as well, but just understanding that there's theater involved here, but there's a stance that's also being taken at the same time.
Well, the problem with that was he was upset about a pitch 2 pitches earlier.
Mm-hmm.
When he threw ball 4, he was mad at himself.
Yes, sir.
And then he just yelled profanity, yelled a bad word that could be heard 40 rows back in the stands. So I don't want to kick a starting pitcher out of the game for something like that. I mean, I'd rather he go around and apologize to everybody, but I don't really want to kick him out. Even though I can, I didn't want to have to do that. So I took my mask off so he'd get the message. And Buster Posey says, "What's going on?" I said, "Just sit down. Everything will be all right in just a minute." He'll either be here or he won't. So and he realized he shouldn't have said what he said. And again, he was mad at himself for walking this guy because he shouldn't have walked him. And then, you know, as you always notice, the guy that's always right is the one that wins the stare down.
Is that how the story is being told?
So I go to the Dodgers the next day. We're working the Dodgers and somebody, and Jimmy Rollins hits a triple. Slides into third base, and I call him safe. And he looks up at me and he just stares. He stares. And he stares. I said, "You're not going to win this either."
So, like, were there relationships that you had with players where, you know, they were comfortable enough with you to kind of go at it with you in that way on the field, but then away from the field, it was all friendly and everything? Or was it just, if it was contentious on the field, it was, you know, the same off the field?
Well, I don't think I ever had a problem with a ball player off the field. Of course, most of them stayed away from me because they didn't like me, but that's part of it. But I can remember a lot of times things that happened on the field, and you know, I wasn't Santa Claus out there. I mean, I can remember one day when the Cubs had brought up this pitcher from the minor leagues, big left-handed hitting pitcher. He pitched in the College World Series. That's how I remember who he was. And in the second inning, he hit a double off the right field wall. And a couple innings later, he hit a double off the left field wall. And Mark Grace was going through a streak where he was like 1 for 36.
Oh.
And he grounded into a double play to end that inning where he had hit the second double. And I called him out at first, but he looked at me and he says, "I wish I could hit like our pitcher." and I said, "So does everybody else on your team."
So like, we were kind of breaking down like the psychology of like an umpire's existence, in that if you're an umpire, you have to love baseball. I mean, to get to that level, to become a major league umpire, you have to truly love the game. So is it odd or uncomfortable that you love baseball so much to get to that level? And then you just said it yourself. Like, there's a lot of guys where it's like, well, maybe they don't like me, to just feel that like kind of like negative energy from players. Is that like an odd dynamic? You're not good. You're not going to get in this job if you're trying to win friends and influence people, because they're going to hate you. Half the people are going to hate you on every call you make. You know, it doesn't matter if you're right or wrong. You know, Dick Williams used to say, "I don't care what you call. If it goes against me, I'm coming out there." and so that the very day he said that, we had an obstruction play at third base. His third baseman didn't get out of the way in a rundown, and we called obstruction. And before he could get to the dirt out there, I said, "Well, you said you were coming out here. You know you're wrong, and you're still out here." And then he called me all kinds of names. I threw him out. But
you have to realize that as an umpire, and I used to say this to every young kid that would come work with me, you have 3 responsibilities. And your first responsibility is to the game of baseball. Now, that doesn't mean the commissioner's office. That means the game itself. Because without the game, without you taking care of the game, we have nothing. We're not here. We're not even talking right now. We would never have this conversation. Your second responsibility is to your profession. And that doesn't mean the union. It means the profession of umpiring itself. And your third responsibility is to do what you know in your heart is morally honest and correct. And if you do those 3 things in that order, nothing you do out there will be wrong. Now, you might get killed for it or murdered or run over or start a riot, but you have to think in those terms that my first responsibility is to this game itself. And I've always tell people, I say, now relate that to our United States Congress. Their first responsibility is to the United States. Well, they don't do that. Second responsibility is to the people that sent you there. They don't do that. Your third responsibility is do what's morally honest and correct in your heart. They struck out. They didn't get any of them right.
You got him on 3, Joe. You got him on 3. We don't have to look down and ask for help.
You got to run for Congress, Joe?
No, I think I'm better suited for president.
I love that.
I just want to put in perspective for folks what sort of legend you are. You joked, you scoffed at that, and I appreciate that. But you entered the game in 1976 in the National League. Just for context, gas was 59 cents a gallon back then when Joe West entered the game of baseball. You've seen
and we complained then too. The gas was too high then.
I bet. You've seen perfect games. You were behind the plate for the Felix Hernandez perfecto, number 23, the last one we've seen. What has been the single biggest change to the game of baseball from the time you entered to today?
Well, they don't play as well as a team. In other words, they don't hit the cutoff man. They don't run the bases like they're supposed to. They don't sacrifice. They don't the little things that good teams do to win. They don't do well today. And I think part of that's there's so much emphasis on hitting a home run or striking people out or whatever. But if you'll notice, Whitey Herzog won with teams that weren't as good as the Mets when he managed the Cardinals because they played good baseball.
Sure.
And the Dick Williams, a perfect example. I mean, I kicked Dick Williams out as much as I kicked out anybody, but he was a great manager because he made you play the game the right way. When I first came up, the Dodgers had a manager named Walter Alston. How bad is that? Tommy Lasorda wasn't even a manager when I first came up. I didn't think of that. Anyway, if you missed a cutoff man when Walter Alston was managing, he would just stare at you all the way back to the dugout. And the players knew, I'm in trouble now, you know. And you look at how the game has evolved. Why do we have a shift? We have a shift because the players are too stupid to hit it the other way. You know what Rod Carew said? They asked Rod Carew, said, what would you hit if they put a shift on you? He said 900. I mean, that's what he said. He said, you put a shift on me, I'll hit 900. And then you got guys, I mean, a lot of people don't realize that Rod Carew batted 700 when he bunted.
Yeah.
Huh.
Now think about that. So you can't play back on him. You've got to play in and make him try to hit it by you. Well, this is a Hall of Fame guy, you know.
Yeah.
And he knows exactly what he's talking about. I'm a little disappointed that they put the DH in both leagues because I think the DH slows the game down. It takes away the manager's skill to monitor what's going on, and it hurts starting pitching because they'll leave a starting pitcher in there longer than they normally would. Billy Martin was known to throw pitchers out there forever, and Earl Weaver with the DH, he'd leave guys in there to throw 150, 200 pitches. So I don't think the DH has ever been good for the game. I didn't think it was good for the game when I started. And I don't think it's good for the game now, but that's my opinion. And I don't pay the players. So I know the owners like it, and I'm not one of the senior players because those guys are trying to hang on for a couple of years, and that's what the rule was put in for. It was put in so that Mickey Mantle and Carl Yastrzemski could get 2 more bats, you know. But so I don't agree with that. I think the DH is a bad rule. I thought it was a bad rule when they put it in. But for the most part, the athlete today is bigger and stronger and faster than when I started. And yet we don't have any Willie Mays. We don't have any Roberto Clementis. And we don't have anybody that was as smooth as Hank Aaron. And the closest thing to him is probably Mike Trout. You know, we did years ago, the Astros had this player named Cesar Cedeno. As good a player as I've ever seen. And he's not going to get a vote to go in the Hall of Fame because he accidentally killed his girlfriend in the Dominican Republic. You know, this guy's one of the greatest players. He won 2 World Series. He won one with the Reds and he won one with the Cardinals. And he's not even getting a vote. Nobody's even talking about him. He's as good a player as I ever saw, you know.
You mentioned the Astros, and I wasn't even thinking about this before we did the interview. I just kind of like jogged in my brain when you said that. Could you, in 2017, could you hear the trash can bangs? Like, did you ever like sitting up there, like you were at the plate, the same hitters that could hear it and were listening for it. Did you ever say like, what the hell is that? Like, did it ever catch your ear?
Well, yeah, you knew they were doing it, but what can you do about it? You know, there's nothing the umpires could have done about it at the time. I mean, and they were all doing it. I mean, I talked to Sudden Sam McDowell about it. He said, you know, Joe said, we used to have a guy sit in center field, and he'd put a towel over his left shoulder if it was a break-in ball, and he'd put it over his right shoulder if it was a fastball. Said, we were stealing signs back then. Then one day he came in the dugout in the 4th inning, and he said, they said, what are you doing? He said, well, their guy's doing the same thing. So, I mean, it's just a matter that they use technology to do it rather than a person. So they've been doing that for years. You know, that's the old stock car theory that if you ain't cheating, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. You know, I mean, everybody's looking for an advantage. There's what amazes me is the baseball players. Dallas, you can attest to this. They are the most competitive people in the world in anything. They don't want to lose if you're playing cards or a backgammon or whatever. It doesn't matter. They don't want to lose. And that says something about the athlete himself. So, but it's not right to condone cheating. I mean, Steve Carlton had the best move to first base you ever saw. And when he went to pick a guy off, he didn't balk. But when he just went to toss it over there, he'd step to home plate. We must have called 50 balks on him. I mean, and he never said a word because he knew he balked, right? And the players today, if you call a balk on them, they go, I've never balked in my life. Well, that's not true. You know, come on.
Yeah. Not an easy sell job. Joe, what was your I ask players this a lot because sometimes it's an interaction with somebody such as yourself, but sometimes it's an interaction with a teammate or realizing who it is across the diamond. What was your aha moment? Wow, I am an umpire in the major leagues. Like, was it a game that you got the nod for? You know, it could have been your first LCS, a big moment. I mean, your first year, you're on the field for Willie Mack popping 500. You're watching the hit king, Pete Rose, do his thing. Like, this is in your first year. So you had some pretty monumental things go down for you right out of the gate.
Yeah, I was really lucky because I played on a pretty good football team in college. We played for the national title in Shreveport, Louisiana. We got beat by a team that had Clinton Longley and Wilbur Montgomery on it. And
shout out Elon.
Yeah, the backup nose guard was Tex Cobb, who later became a professional boxer. Anyway, so that excitement and stuff, that I was already used to that. That wasn't impressive. And I'd played with athletes who were trying to rip my head off, so I had seen good athletes, Andy Olson paid me a compliment. He was an old umpire in the National League. He said, you're the only young guy that ever came up here that wasn't in awe of what's going on. You acted like the day you got here that you understood what was going on. You were never looking at the game like, wow, so I guess I was lucky that way, and even when I sang at the Grand Ole Opry and I walked all over Charlie McCoy's solo singing when I wasn't supposed to, I came out, I apologized to him. He said, don't worry about it. I covered it up.
That's amazing. I think one of the things I think baseball fans have always wondered about umpiring and I guess interactions with managers or players, specifically managers for this question. Obviously, we have better cameras now and there's microphones all over the place. Was there ever an incident where a manager kind of like came out to scream in your face, but what he was saying was like, listen, I don't want to be out here any more than you want me to be out here, but like, I have to be out here, so I'm just going to make it look like I'm really angry, but I'm really not, so have a good night. Were there any like interactions like that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. In fact, Pete Rose hated to come out and argue. He said, I don't like being out here to argue for somebody that can't play. He actually said that, and we kicked out Terry Collins one time when there was a fight and he got cut above his eye and he was bleeding all over everything. He says, you're going to have to kick me out. He said, I can't manage like this. I got to take up for my guys. So we kicked him out. There are times they come out and say, you're going to have to kick me out. And then there's times like when Larry Boyle was yelling at Eric Gregg and Eric wouldn't kick him out. And it was 100 degrees and you could see the heat come off the AstroTurf and Boyle was screaming at him. And Eric says, you're not going anywhere. If I got to stay, you got to stay.
See, that's what. So you're essentially confirming for us, which it's nothing that fans didn't, know in their heart, but they do, I think, deserve to know that kind of stuff, that back and forth, that happens. That's very real. Like, no, I'm sorry, I'm not going to run you early on in this ball game because you're not having a great time. You're going to suffer through this. That's worse than me running you from this ball game.
Yeah, we're standing behind second base after the All-Star game when it was me and Eric Gregg, right? And so Sean Dustin didn't make the All-Star team, but Sean Dustin had a great throwing arm. He's a great athlete. He was just a tremendous shortstop for the Cubs, right? And Eric looked at him and said, hey, if you could hit my weight, you'd make the All-Star team. And Sean turned around and said, if I hit your weight, I'd be in the Hall of Fame.
Oh, that is legendary. That is legendary. So speaking of Eric Gregg, and I'm not asking you to dissect his performance or anything like that, but we all, I'm sure, have had the 1997 game come across our plate. And when you have a bad day and you guys are in that umpiring room just after the ball game and you're washing that 9 innings down, is there the banter like there is in the clubhouse where if I've gone 0 for 4 and I've punched out 4 times and I've just looked stupid on all of them, there's a chance I'm getting worn out by the guys. You know what I mean? Or if I've just gotten my ass kicked and I've been backing up bases all day, I'm probably getting worn out by the strength and conditioning guy. Tell me, Dallas, don't worry about getting your cardio in. I watched you those first 2 innings. You're probably
don't worry about it.
But is there any of that when you guys get back into the room and it's just you boys taking the gear off?
Well, yeah, that goes around a little bit. There's times. One of the hard things for Eric in that series was he was working his tail off, and the guys that had worked before him had real small strike zones. And Frank Pulley told him before he went out there, he says, listen, don't be having that postage stamp strike zone today. He said, you got 2 of the best pitchers in baseball. Call some strikes. Well, that was a mistake. But anyway, and Eric was a very good umpire for a lot of years. He was he was such a fun guy to be around. He was hilarious. One day we're walking to third base in Dodger Stadium, and Lasorda was doing those Slim Fast commercials, and he yelled out, he says, Joe, when can I get you and Eric on the Slim Fast? And I said, Eric drank 13 of those shakes for lunch today. I don't think he can drink any more than that.
Knowing how much time you spent in the game and being, an old school kind of guy, you seem to not not enjoy Nelson Cruz asking you for a picture at the All-Star game. I would have painted you for a guy that would have been like, no, we can't do that. That's not professional. But you were into it. Like, it was funny, especially because I think as he was walking away, Nelson Cruz said something like, two oldest guys in the game or something like that. Can you recall that moment?
Yeah, I can recall it. He came to bat and he said something in Spanish to Yachty, and Yachty took his camera and he turned around and then he put his arm on my shoulder, and all I could think of is, I can't even tell him to get the hell away from me. I got a microphone on. So I stood there stoically and got the picture, and I look over the dugout and I see Perez, the catcher for the Royals, and he is dying laughing. So he had this all set up. I was the brunt of the joke for that. So
I love it. I love it. So the microphone, that's a beautiful segue. What was your first thought when you heard that Major League Baseball was going to be asking the umpires to wear the microphone and start to announce replay? And did you think what we all thought, which was, damn it, we have missed Joe West by 1 year. This is a crime against baseball humanity, because we're all thinking what you were thinking in that moment at the All-Star game. Hot mic, someone's going to say something, and we are going to have an unbelievable moment. But what are your thoughts initially just on them asking umpires to now sort of, go the route of the NFL, the NBA?
When the COVID virus came about, they were trying to teach us just that. And that was about half of us went to Tampa, Florida to rehearse like what we're going to say if the play is overturned or whatever. And it was hilarious. If you'd had tapes of that, you could sell it. I mean, it was just funny. They start mumbling and stumbling and everything. And of course, it's like everything else. If you don't rehearse what you do, you're probably not going to be very good at it. But it was hilarious. And I think the reason that they didn't put it in until I left was because I was still there.
Because Joe, I got to tell you, I could only imagine, like the commentary, like if someone has to challenge something, you being the no frills, no fluff individual you are, you're just going to say, well, what do you want me to tell you? He was too fucking slow. The tag got applied before he got to the bag. He's fucking out. Why are you asking me? He's out. He's obviously out.
He's still out. Durwood Merrill wrote
He's
that book.
still out.
Durwood Merrill wrote a book. It was called "You're Out and You're Ugly Too."
And you're ugly too.
Joe, were you the one who called out A-Rod when he slapped the ball out of the first baseman's hand?
Yeah, and that's a unique story because something's going on here. You believe I got that kind of music on my phone?
I did not have you as a classical genre guy.
That's the price. It'll go off in a minute.
I had you maybe with some Merle.
Yeah, I can't find Merle on that little app. Anyway, Alex Rodriguez went down the first baseline and slapped the ball out of Arroyo's hand. And Randy Marsh had 3 or 4 people converging on him at first base. So he didn't actually see what happened. And when he saw the ball come loose, he just signaled safe. And I can understand that because he saw the ball come loose. He figured, there's no way this guy could be out, right? So because he made a call, we can't call interference. If one of us sees it, we can come in and help him before he does anything, or we can get him to ask. And of course, Terry Francona was charging out of the dugout. And I said, wait right here. And so we went down to Randy. Jeff Kellogg came in from right field. And I said, did you see him slap the ball out of the glove with his bare hand? And Randy says, no, his eyes got big as silver dollars. No, I didn't see it. I said, well, we're going to have to call him out. And we're going to have to put the runner back on first base. The runner was Jeter. I think he scored on the play.
He did.
Yep.
And so now I says, well, we got to get the guys together. We got to get the whole crew together and see what happened. And I said, this is what happened, and the right field umpire agreed with me. So John Hirschbeck and the other umpires come in from the other side. Jimmy Joyce was one of them. And so they go, are you sure? I said, we wouldn't be having this meeting if I wasn't sure. So now we go to change the play. And I said, Randy, do you want me to call this? Or he said, no, it's my call. I should be the one that changes. So I gave him credit. So he calls A-Rod out, and of course A-Rod raises his hands like, I did what?
What did I do?
Yeah. And then we put Jeter back on first. And of course, Joe Torre had a stroke. And I mean, this is a big play in the game, so they threw everything in the book at us. They threw stuff out of the stands. Somebody threw their car keys at Hirschbeck at third base.
Jeez.
And it was a BMW. Yeah, it was a good car, So
It was a good car.
So anyway, I had to go over to the dugout because they had the security there, because if the Yankees win, they're going to, circle the field. I went in and saw the sergeant in charge of the security. I said, we're going to need a show of strength here. You're going to have to come out and line the field. And he said, are you telling me, or is Major League Baseball? I said, let me tell you something. If I go back to home plate and you guys aren't on the field, this game's over. So they come charging out of the dugout, they line the field. They arrested 16 people in less than 2 minutes. And the game continued, and we finished the game. Well, the next day, we came out, and we actually got an ovation because the media took up for us. The Yankee fans, even though it went against them, actually gave us a small standing ovation and applauded us for what we did. So that's an amazing thing, because even when I broke the record in Chicago, they booed me.
That's amazing.
Well, so let's talk about that. Were you leading up to that moment? Like you know what sort of history is about to be made. You know what you're doing in terms of etching your name in stone in Major League Baseball's history. From start to finish, Joe West is going to be a massive integral part of what the game experienced and why it experienced the fun that it experienced. But leading up to that moment, you've probably understood that there's been a sort of, I don't want to say public enemy number one, but you're a villain. You're an umpire. You show up at the ballpark in your uniform, you sleep in your uniform, hanging upside down in your umpire cave. And that's just, you're not human. But was there any part of you that was like, you know what? Can I just get a round of applause for 10 seconds? Just like you're crushing me and you're booing me. And I'm sure you understood that was their way of wrapping their arms around you, right? That was their way of showing you, Joe, we love you and we appreciate everything you have done in this game up until this point. But was there like, come on, not just give me a high five, something.
Well, I had a lot of friends there. I think I bought 127 tickets.
Woo!
And the Oak Ridge boys called the White Sox and asked if they could sing the national anthem. So they were there. Larry Gallon was there. Emmylou Harris was there. And actually, the Oak Ridge boys told me, says that was their way of saying what you did was good for booing you, because that's how they know you, and it was really funny. My brother got his tickets and he went to sit down. He says, I got my tickets and I'm sitting behind a chicken, because the San Diego Chicken came out of retirement to be there for that.
Oh man.
And it was unique. It was the kind of thing that, I'd worked for all these years, and I actually knew just about what day it was going to be on. And then I had 2 rainouts. Oh. And we'd scheduled all these people to come in there. So I worked 2 days when I was supposed to be off to make it fall on the right day, so everybody would be there at the same time. It was quite an event. We had musicians there. We had football players there. Dave Casper came from the Raiders. Paul Krause came from the Vikings. And that's an interesting story in itself. Those 2 guys, Dave moved to Minneapolis to be closer to his grandkids.
Okay.
And so I go up there and I pass Bruce Frumming from third place to second place on the number of games worked. Mm-hmm. So we go to dinner at Manny's. You've been to Manny's, a steakhouse in Minneapolis.
Yes, sir.
And so we're sitting there as Dave and his wife and Paul and his wife and the other 3 umpires. And everybody gets those big menus. And I mean, they're like a scroll. They're, huge menus. And they bring me a spiral ring notebook. And I'm looking around and I see that every waiter and waitress is looking at me, So I open it up and it's in Braille.
Yes.
So I didn't miss a beat. I just ran my finger across that. So ribeye, medium rare, baked potato.
Oh, that's amazing.
And Paul Krause says, "What's so funny?" Everybody's laughing. So I threw the book at him. And he opened it up and his eyesight's so bad he couldn't see the bumps on the page.
That's unbelievable.
Oh, man.
Who would you say was your favorite catcher to share a space with?
Well, that's an interesting question. We had Gary Carter. He never stopped talking from the first pitch to the last, but Gary had 2 strike zones. He had his strike zone when he caught, and he had his strike zone when he hit. So he had Johnny Bench would sit right behind the middle of the plate because his head was so big. If he moved, he blocked the umpire. So he had to sit right behind the middle, but he never moved. Jerry Grody would let you see anything. He'd get down if you moved inside. And for looking at the pitches, Jerry Grody was probably the best I ever saw to let you see the pitch. If you missed a pitch with Jerry Grody behind the plate, you missed the pitch. It wasn't anybody else's fault but yours. He was something else. And it was Benito Santiago. He was good. Manny Sanguillo was good to work behind. Because he'd get down, let you see the pitches. Steve Yeager was good. Socia was like Bench. He was too big to get, So, I mean, they're guys, and they knew that, so they didn't get anyway,
Well,
but
who's a guy or any guys, because framing is an artwork or an art form that I'm sure you can appreciate. Might have been a thorn in your side as well, because I'm sure you get pissed off at the guys who are trying to really dress it up, because you're saying, look, I've been tracking balls for quite a while here. I know what that is and I know what that isn't. But who was a guy that you were just like, you know what? He's probably going to get me 2 or 3 times today. That son of a, and there's not much I can do about it. He's going to pull this ball over and he's going to make it look good and he's going to have a good time doing it.
Well, the Braves catchers did that all the time. And Maddox and those guys they'd throw the ball on the outside corner. And if you called something just off the plate, then they'd try to go a little bit further. And if you gave them that pitch, they'd go a little bit further. But as soon as they found out where your zone was, they'd quit. They wouldn't go any further. But and Javi Lopez, he sat outside on all those pitchers. And I feel bad for the young umpires, because Javi'd catch the ball and it'd be outside maybe 6 inches, and Bobby Cox would start yelling. He didn't yell at the older umpires; he yelled at the young umpires. So I mean, he's trying to steal something from him. Again, if you're not cheating, you're not trying. But the point being, he didn't yell at the older umpires; he yelled at the young umpires. Chuck Tanner was that way. Chuck Tanner would yell at the young umpires until you kick him out. When he realized, well, he's not putting up with me anymore, then he'd leave you alone. And that's the way the game is. When you came up, you had older players tell you, deal with it this way, deal with it that way, whatever. Mm-hmm. Whether it's pitching or catching or hitting or whatever. I remember it was my second year. I was working with John Kibler, and he walked over and he says, did you kick out 50 players in the minor leagues when you were down there the last time you were down? I said, no, I haven't kicked out 50 players in my life. He said, well, they think you have, so don't tell them any different.
What's it like umpiring in the minors? Is this a lot harder?
Well, you don't have as many umpires, for one thing. And then when I came up, we worked a 2-man system until we got to AAA. When I got to AAA, we worked 3. And the bad part about it is they don't pay you. They don't pay them now. So
not much has changed.
That's sad, because we lose a lot of good people because They can't afford to live in the minor leagues for 6, 7, 8 years. And I mean, it's not right. They've got to do something to restructure it so they can keep quality people, because that's not good.
What's the best pure stuff, Joe, that you've ever seen behind the plate? I'm talking glove pop, break on the breaking balls, just the ferocity, mound presence. You know, when I think about those things, I think about a guy like Bob Gibson.
I missed Gibson. I didn't have him, but I had J.R. Richard.
Oh.
And when the Dodgers would play the Astros and JR was pitching, everybody took the day off except Steve Garvey, who had a consecutive game streak going. He pitched against AAA players when he played the Dodgers.
Nobody wanted none of that.
He was awesome. I mean, his slider was 100 miles an hour. Randy Johnson was that way. But when Randy throttled back and tried to just throw strikes, he was at his best. When he just tried to rear back and throw it, he was not the same pitcher. Who was really good was Tom Seaver.
Ooh.
Seaver was Greg Maddux with about 10 more miles an hour.
Ooh. That's a hell of a description.
Yeah. So Seaver might have been the best pitcher I've ever seen.
Interesting.
Wow.
That is interesting, especially, a lot of the guys in today's game with the stuff that they have. I was curious to get your thoughts on the television broadcasts and how they have the strike zone box, and whether or not you think that that's a good thing or a bad thing, because it's not an exact science. And it, when you have these like umpiring scorecards that come out on the internet, and there's, I guess, more accountability for umpires than there was 20 years ago and beyond. Do you think it's a good thing that broadcasts have those strike zones, or a bad thing? I
just wish they were all the same.
Yeah.
You see, and I'll give you a good example. They said this past week that Angel Hernandez scored 85 on his zone evaluation. And I know that's not the score he got. I know the score that he got was 96 because he sent it to me. So he's trying to umpire what they're asking him to call, and it's not the same as what you see on TV.
Yep.
So that's not fair. And of course you say, well, it's just the umpire. Nobody really cares. That's a bad statement to make, because he's an integral part of the game, and what he calls is what he's been taught to call. So how do you take that away from him? And furthermore, I mean, I can remember Ron Save when he played third base for the Dodgers. We're in the Shamrock Hilton, and somebody said something about so-and-so strike zone. He says, I can watch a guy in 2 innings and tell you every pitch he's going to call. I can tell you what he's going to call, So the player of yesteryear is different from the player today.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Because the player of yesteryear would watch the umpire and say, well, he calls a high pitch, he calls a low pitch, this, that, and that, And I worked with those guys. I worked with Doug Harvey. Doug Harvey's in the Hall of Fame. Doug Harvey had a big strike zone. I worked with Dutch Renner. Dutch Renner's the nicest guy you ever hang around, and he had a little strike zone. You know what I mean? So he and Fleming had small strike zone. Doug Harvey's, Frank Puller's strike zone was big. Lee Wire's strike zone, if it was in the air in between the dugouts, it was going to be called a strike.
I get on board with that strike zone.
The number one thing that I think there's criticism towards umpires is the availability to the media. Like when you had the Jim Joyce incident with the perfect game, like he had to put out a statement versus he was very forward facing about that. But that's an extreme case of an umpire needing to address media. Do you think, was there ever a moment where you're like, I wish that someone would show up at my locker so I can explain this, because I feel like, I'm getting a bad rap for a call that was made and it's a simple explanation. Like, what do you think about the relationship between umpires and media on a day-to-day basis?
Well, they made it so they can only send one pool reporter down. I remember when I first started, the Dodgers had a reporter named Bob Hunter. And Bob Hunter was the matriarch of the old writers. he would tell the other writers, and the Dodgers at the time had like 6 papers that were covering the Dodgers. So they had 6 different sports writers. So if there was a controversial play, they'd come to your locker room. But Bob did something, and he taught those writers something special. He said, how can you go in and ask an umpire about a play if you've never met him before? So why don't you go down before the series starts and introduce yourself? Now, if you have a play this week or next month, if you've introduced yourself before every series, they know who you are. Why would the umpire talk to you if he's never met you? And so Bob promoted that. And there were other reporters that learned from that. And there was a much different, relationship with the writers that would come down if you knew who they were. And that's just human nature. That's all that is.
Is that something that's available these days? Just having an open relationship with umpires? Because I know I would love to have the conversations that I think a lot of fans would love to hear about with today's umpires, and strictly from let's just open this up and continue to shine light on the human aspect of the job of umpiring, because I can appreciate what a difficult task that is, what a difficult responsibility that is to track 100-mile-an-hour pitches moving 18 inches up, down, left, right, and you're doing it every day. But it kind of feels like there's a negative connotation to umpiring, like, sorry, they're not available for comment. You can't talk to them. They're not going to divulge any secrets. So there's kind of been some standoffishness between, I think, the media and umpiring.
But that should change, and that's not right either, because they're part of the game. They're part of the family. And I tell people all the time, baseball is a big family. Sometimes family members get in arguments. That happens. But the point is that door should be open, and it should be free to pass through it. Now, baseball has put in things where they don't want you to talk about certain items.
Sure.
The commissioner's office doesn't want an umpire to disagree with their policies. And I get that, because we work for the commissioner's office. And Rob Manfred's going to be mad at me because I said I don't like the DH. So, but the point being, that door should be open for everybody, and you should be allowed to talk to them. And there are going to be umpires that will be afraid to talk to you because they don't know what you're going to write. And then there are going to be umpires that don't want to talk to the reporter because the reporter's not going to print what you said. He's going to print his own opinion of what you said. And that's not right either, but you can't change that. And,
so sorry.
No, that's all right. I mean, I got in trouble for saying that Carlos Beltran was a big arguer. No, who was Beltry?
It was Beltry, yeah.
It was Beltry, yeah. And I said, he complains about everything. He's the biggest complainer in the league. So the ball be right down the middle, and he'll say, that's outside. And I told him one day, I said, you're a great ball player, but you're a terrible umpire. and I got suspended for a day. So,
and didn't he defend you? Like, he knew that you were joking?
He did. He was upset that I got suspended.
Yeah.
So they don't really want you to say pretty much anything. Because I remember when you guys were wearing the wristbands, the white wristbands, didn't they shut that down?
Well, they negotiated with us after that.
Served their purpose.
Yeah. I mentioned Carlos Beltran. That was funny. He played that one year with the Yankees. He slid into second base, and he said, "Hey, Grandpa." He said, "Call me Grandpa."
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and Jeter and Cano got out there with their gloves, and he said, "Hey, Grandpa." I said, "I might be your grandpa. I was in Puerto Rico in 1977.
Who had the best sense of humor out of all the players? Like, who was able to dish it and take it the best?
Probably George Hendricks. He was a right fielder for the Cardinals. Talked with a real high pitched voice. He was something.
You could have some fun.
Yeah.
Well, Joe, you've been just extremely generous with your time. There is one question that we have to ask you. One question we ask all of our guests before we let them go. And that is, if you could jump in a hot tub time machine.
And just a regular time machine. Just like a standard time machine.
Has bells and whistles.
Yeah,
you could do a lot in a hot tub time machine. Mm-hmm. So you're in a hot tub time machine. You're blasting back into baseball history. And you can witness any moment you want. You're there watching it unfold for the first time. Any moment in baseball history. Which moment are you heading back to and why?
Well, I kind of wish I'd have been the plate umpire when Tim McCarver went to the mound to talk to Bob Gibson. And Gibson said, "Get back behind the plate. The only thing you know about pitching is you can't hit it." I said that at a banquet one night when they were the only guy in the room that didn't laugh was McCarver.
Such a legendary line. What an incredible moment.
Yeah. Unbelievable. All right, Joe West. It's called 5460, the Joe West podcast. It comes out on May 2nd. You can get it where all your podcasts are available. This has been a pleasure. We talked about it last week, and I had no idea if we were going to be able to track you down. So it was an honor and a pleasure to be able to speak to you today.
Oh, it was my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
All right, big thanks to Joe West for making the time. Thanks to Jake for setting it up. That was huge. That was very unexpected to be able to get him that quickly. I thought that was going to be like a season-long chase where it's like, all right, let's get Joe West in the pod. And then we just move on and it never happens. But there you go. Joe West.
That guy's probably been wanting to go on radio and podcasts for like 30 years.
Yeah.
And just now you can. It's like, I'm fucking going on everything.
He had the liners ready to go.
Yeah. He's just sitting on a library of stories.
Oh my God. Like he is, you can tell that he is like, I always say this about Tim Kirchin. Like you can't just say hello to Tim Kirchin. That's not possible.
No.
You're going to say hello, and then you're going to get a stat from 1964 on sack flies or just something completely fucking random. And 20 minutes later, you're going to be like, well, this was an incredible conversation. I am now 15 minutes late to what I had to go through. Thank you, though. Thank you. And that's what Joe West does to you is you say, "Hey, Joe, how you doing, man? How you been?" And then the next time you talk is going to be 20 minutes later.
Love that. As we said before the Joe West interview, Ronald Acuña Jr. is back. The Braves have needed him, but I mean, they're 8-11 to start the year.
Pretty good.
And I'm just going to say it. There are a lot of 8-11 teams this year that still are capable of winning a World Series.
Really?
Mm-hmm. But offensively speaking, the Braves have the fourth best OPS in Major League Baseball. And shout out to the Cubs, who a lot of us said were not a contender and, not criticizing, but just pointing out, why would Marcus Stroman go there? Why would Seiya Suzuki sign there? Well, the Cubs are hitting .313 with an .883 OPS to lead the majors in both categories. Hitting .313 as a fucking team is crazy. Just goes to show you how fucking bad their pitching is because they're 8-10. They lead the majors in batting average and OPS, and they're 8-10. But the Braves, having the fourth best OPS in Major League Baseball, are adding Ronald Acuña Jr. Joey as the Braves correspondent here. What are your thoughts on getting Ronald Acuña Jr. back in that Braves lineup?
This season starts today for the Braves. That's going to be electric. I'm looking to see how much eye black he has on. I think that's going to be a watch.
Heavy smudgery going on today.
Do you think he'll do that?
No.
I mean, he should. That would be the ultimate. Like, if he wore eye black in his first game back after all that went down, I think he would be crowned as a Braves legend for life.
He wears eye black pretty regularly, but not like the fucking shit he got in trouble for. If he does that, it's a night game. I think they're playing at night, right? It's a night
still
game.
do it. Glare from the lights.
Mm-hmm.
Glare from the lights. People are going to be excited. I hope he fucking does. But if the Braves are anything like Dallas says, little like old school, they'll probably shut that down quick. But now that Freddie's gone,
yeah,
who's there to stop Ronald from doing shit?
I mean, what if Matt Olson meets him at the door of the clubhouse with a giant fucking eye black stick and is like, lay down.
We're doing this together.
Your entire body in eye black right now.
Yeah. If
He's
only
he
someone on
loves
this
the guys.
podcast had Matt Olson's number and had a way to give him that idea.
Oh man, damn.
Darn.
We gotta. Oh, let me see if I can call it around.
Yeah. I feel like Matty O is he's very, I don't want to say soft spoken. He's just a very chill dude.
Oh, he's a very chill dude. You just got to get him with the boys, man.
Yeah.
He's been hanging out with the boys. People have been tagging me in pictures. Someone tagged me. He was there at the Hawks game. All the boys.
Who's he with?
Olsen was
Him, Ozzy, Max, somebody
Ian
else
Anderson.
too. Yeah, Ian Anderson. Yeah.
What the fuck's the deal with Kyle Wright this year?
He's savage.
Yeah.
He's savage.
No one wants to talk about Kyle Wright. I want to talk about Kyle Wright.
The Braves always have like that one pitcher every year who's like young and just like breaks out.
Yeah. Well, that's happening.
And he's breaking out. Will
it was
continue? Because a lot of times it doesn't.
He's made 3 starts.
I don't know.
His ERA is 106. His FIP is lower than his ERA. He's been better. He's got a 106 ERA.
Better than advertised.
Yeah, his FIP is 0.73.
Who was it last year? Huascar Noah?
Yeah.
Yes.
And then he broke his hand from punching shit?
Idiot.
Yeah, that was sad. Since
26 strikeouts in 17 innings. And how many walks? 2. 2 walks. Strikeouts to walks. 26 strikeouts to 2 walks in 17 innings. That's a joke.
You want to hear a fucking crazy stat?
What?
Zach Greinke at first 3 starts had 2 strikeouts and a 2.25 ERA. Yeah, 2 strikeouts in 3 starts, but was dominating.
What's wrong? What's wrong with that?
Just seems a little low.
Yeah, he's not striking out anybody. I took a look at Greinke.
Have you guys taken a look at that fucking defense behind him? Why would you not let those kids play baseball?
That's what I'm saying. So I was
He's
looking
a
at
genius.
Greinke for the strikeout parlay yesterday. I think the over/under was 2.5, and I was like 2.5. Like, of course we can get 2.5. And then I looked, and he like his strikeouts were like he struck out 1 batter, 0 batters, and then 1 batter. And I was like, I guess 2.5 is a little bit of a stretch. Jesus Christ.
He's
Greinke.
I feel like Greinke is now getting off on watching guys hit the ball as poorly as possible instead of just swinging and missing altogether. Now he's like, I did that for a while, like 10 years. I had a good decade's run of just absolutely embarrassing guys. I want to do that differently now. I want them to walk away feeling like they need a bat 5 times the size of a normal bat if they're ever going to barrel me up. I mean, this is the Zach Greinke who's throwing 80. He's throwing 86, 87 mile an hour fastballs and then putting you away with an 88, 89 mile an hour fucking changeup. Okay. Like that's, yeah. And yes, you heard that correctly. Yes, I am stoned, but you also heard that correctly. The changeup just a couple miles an hour harder than the fastball for Zach Greinke. It's fucking incredible to watch, dude. It's incredible to watch.
You know what else is incredible to watch?
Tell me right now.
The Arizona Diamondbacks, their entire lineup is hitting 200 or worse.
That's not. It's just it's a tough stretch right now for the D-backs.
For the whole season so far. This is how their lineup read.
You ever heard of 0 for April, Jared? Jesus, cut the guys some slack.
This is how the lineup read last night. 147. 0, 125, 159, 147, 098, 200, another 200, and then 118. Ladies and gentlemen, your 2022 Arizona Diamondbacks.
And didn't they win, though? Didn't they beat the fucking Dodgers?
Yeah, they did.
Are we going to ignore that? They just took down the freaking the Dodgers. The Giants of baseball, which now I'm saying that sounds stupid because there is a Giants who play baseball.
The D-backs, I mean, for what I just said about that Arizona Diamondbacks team, they won 2 straight baseball games. They're 500 over their last 10 games, and they have the same record as the Boston Red Sox.
Talking all that shit.
And
they're basically the Red Sox of the NL West.
Correct. Yep.
That's a tough look.
I don't want to talk about it.
That is a tough. What's going on? What's going on
With
out
what?
there in Boston?
What do you mean?
What do you mean? What do I mean?
What do you mean?
Like what
are you trying to say?
I'm just asking questions. What's going on?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm
Baseball
confused by
team
your question. I don't think
Boston.
the question doesn't make sense. Jake, tell Dallas to stop.
I mean, it's like Jared just said earlier. A lot of 8 and 11 teams that can still win the World Series.
That's true. Atlanta Braves.
D-backs, the Sox.
Not a lot of people talking about the Atlanta Braves are fucking 8 and 11. Why aren't people talking shit on them? It's always the Red Sox. Why?
Because they
of
fucking
me.
started like that last year and won it all. No one gives a shit, and they don't even have Ronald yet. Then at least didn't start until today.
Yeah, Red Sox don't even have we don't have Chris Sale yet.
Oh, is that?
Yeah, once we get Chris Sale, then you're fucked.
Oh, okay. I got it.
Yeah.
How's this swing looking? Good?
Good. Fuck you. The whole thing is that people want to pay attention to the standings in April when their team is doing well. And then when their team is not doing well, it's always like, well, no one really cares about the standings until like July. 4th of July is always the marker.
Mm-hmm.
And it's fucking April 28th. Like everyone needs to calm down. The Braves are going to be fine. The Red Sox are going to be fine. The D-backs may not be. I don't know. Maybe the D-backs are the Cinderella story of the season. I don't know. I don't have those answers because it's April. There's no way to tell right now.
Yeah, I mean, and when you look at the Red Sox and you look at the Diamondbacks, there are a ton of similarities, right? 8 and 11, both with negative run differentials, both play in a division with teams that are significantly better than them, and are just trying to make their way. So
who's better than the Red Sox?
Like within that division?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the Toronto Blue Jays way better than the Red Sox.
No, they just beat them last night.
No, well, I mean that's
they did,
game. And it's just April, is what I've been told.
Well,
it's just April.
They beat them last night. They should have taken 2 out of 3 from Tampa over the weekend,
but did not.
But they should have. And the Yankees are not that good.
I think fair to say that the Tampa Bay Rays probably better than the Boston Red Sox. No, I think so.
No, I don't think so either. That's what everyone said last year. Guess who ended their season? The Red Sox.
So that's a couple teams that are significantly better than the Boston Red Sox.
Yeah, that's really just your opinion.
No, for sure. I mean, standings support that just right now, just in April, though, Jared. I don't want you getting carried away because it's just April.
We're not scoreboard watching in April.
That's not what we do here.
We're above that.
Yeah.
We always have been.
You know what we're not above here?
What?
Celebrating history. And
what are we celebrating?
What are we celebrating? What are we celebrating? I'm glad you asked. We've been playing baseball for well over a century, Carrabis.
Okay, yeah.
And last night was the first night in baseball history that the Oakland Athletics actually won a baseball game via a leadoff home run. First time in baseball history, the Oakland A's have won a game 1-0 with that one run coming via a leadoff home run.
Who hit it?
Chad motherfucking Pinder. Cheap Pinder. Oh yeah.
That must have been the most boring game of all time.
It was actually it was a fun game to watch because there were some sick defensive plays, a lot of double plays early. Good. I mean, just good pitching performances. Yeah, it was fun to watch. But I'm looking for bright spots, Jared. Eyes are peeled for bright spots this year. And when Chad Pinder comes off the disabled list, the injured list, excuse me, and pumps one out of the yard, first AB back to put the boys up, and they never relinquish. Do you understand how hard it is to hold a 1-0 lead for 9 fucking innings? Like,
weren't they playing the Orioles? No, the Yankees.
No, they were playing just the record-setting franchise, San Francisco Giants. 107 win season last year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Jacob Junis, right-hander, 90-92 at times. Just a bucket of filth with the slide piece. Slider. Show you a fastball. Slider. Like it was just an interesting baseball game to watch. But I couldn't let the podcast go by without giving the Oakland A's and Chad Pinder some historical love.
Thanks for that, Dallas.
Yeah.
Wow.
We're gonna have a much better day today. That's a nugget you'll be able to drop later today.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. No, a lot of people are going to be talking about that leadoff home run by Chad Pinder in late April.
And when they're talking about it, you're going to have all the insides on it. So
mm-hmm. Yep.
You're welcome.
We heard it straight from the horse's mouth. The sticky checks now, Dallas.
I told you.
They're fucking useless.
Joey,
did you see this clip? I tweeted the clip of Walker Buehler was pitching the other night. And if you're watching on the YouTube channel, this is what the sticky check was. Walker Buehler's coming off the mound. Umpire comes up to him. Walker Buehler sticks out his hand. The umpire does this. That's it. That was it. It used to be like, give me your cap. I'm going to look in that. Give me your glove. I'm going to examine it. Let me look at your hands. Let me look at this. He literally he brushed his palm and that was it. And again, before we kind of dissect this, I just want to say sticky checks at this point are completely useless. And we mentioned this, I think, last episode. If you want to catch a guy who's using a substance to cheat, increase spin rate, you just look at the spin rate. That's it. You can get caught cheating before you even come off the mound. If you're out there using a sticky substance, you are caught while you're still in the game. I don't need to take your glove or your hat or check your belt or your pants or whatever. When that video was going viral of Garrett Cole wiping his pants after every pitch, you're of course, I'm going to retweet that as a troll. But do I think that Garrett Cole was cheating? I don't. Because
why not?
Because his spin rate would go up.
But there's different levels of it.
The spin rate stayed consistent with what he's been doing all year.
He's been doing that all year. He's just not using spider tack, right? He's just using whatever the fuck was the old spider tack that doesn't really help spin rate that much, and people just use forever. Just because, Dallas, you use weed, but you did it not for spin rate, right? For control, for grip.
Just to feel the ball, and that's the thing, man. I legitimately want people. It feels like the only way to get fans to truly understand what pitchers are talking about is I can hand you a ball in the first inning, right out of the box, rubbed up already, if you will, and I hand you that baseball, and what it's going to feel like is completely different than what a ball you get handed in the ninth inning feels like. They're just different. They just are. And I said this on the broadcast. Last night we were talking about this. We understand, and I've said this thousands of times, just a little science lesson here. Mud is wet dirt. We got that much? What happens when mud dries out? That's right. It turns back into dirt. And then when dirt just sets and sets and sets, it becomes dust. And that's what the mud that gets applied to the baseball, that's what happens to the mud. Mud gets rubbed on the ball. Mud dries out and becomes dirt on the ball. The dirty ball then sets in a fucking room at a baseball field until it gets put into circulation. And by the time it does, that dirt has now become dust. So when it finally gets put into the fucking umpire's satchel of balls and he starts rolling those out to us, those things are fucking full of chalk, full of dust. And you have your naked hand to grab that baseball with. That's it. That's all you got. No, you got sweat, you got rosin, you got, like, unless you're throwing these baseballs, you understand that doesn't always give you the grip that would make you comfortable enough to do what you do, to spin a breaking ball, to really rip a fastball. Like, you just don't feel that level of comfort.
Yeah, and then people have been using the other stuff forever. No one gave a shit. Spider tack was a different thing, but I think most people just look at that and they put it all in the same category.
Yes. Oh, well, that's
not.
No, it's not at all. And Joey, that's been a fight that I have been fighting for a very long time. I mean, I admitted my usage on national TV almost 10 years ago. That's why it's like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
like,
no one was like, take the fucking perfect game away.
No.
Doesn't count.
Take the fucking perfect game away.
Yeah. The whole baseball thing is just it's a sad state of affairs for Major League Baseball to have to.
But what are they supposed to do? Like, they had to do something because people were striking out. They're still striking out, but there's a big difference when you're using that stuff.
Yes, huge difference. And we talked about that at length, like the idea of hitters having a Rolodex of pitches in their brain, right? When you tell a hitter you could tell a hitter with his eyes closed, hey, right-hander, 94, arm side run, that hitter is thinking about pitchers that he's seen in his life that fit that category. And he's thinking about what those pitches look like. And so he's developing a comparison, right? He's developing a comp. And that's to help him so that he knows where he needs to get the bat to in order to be successful. Well, when he sees 94 arm side run, but there's like limited vertical break, which means there's not much sink on the baseball, that's something different than he's used to seeing. And there's now such little vertical break on that baseball that it appears to the naked eye to be rising. And so the hitter, who is used to putting his barrel in position X to meet 94 with arm side run, is now facing 94 arm side run at fucking 3,200 RPMs. Like, that ball's not coming down. That ball's holding its plane, and you're watching guys miss shit by 1.5 feet because they're like, the baseball, it never ends up where it's supposed to end up because it's fucking gas powered now. These guys are putting a carburetor on the baseball out there. They're steering it with spider tack. And that's why guys are like, look, dude, like, you have to understand the competitive advantage or the competitive disadvantage. And you are not going to meet a pitcher that's worth their salt anyway that could tell you that no big deal. Spider tack is not an advantage gained for the pitchers. Anybody who's ever put it on, anybody who's ever used it would look you right in the eye and go, yeah, that shit ain't fair.
Yeah. I mentioned this on the old show. Having it explained to me by a hitter that faced Garrett Cole specifically, that essentially, I mean, it's almost like trying to explain defying the laws of gravity in a way where if, like, say you're a hitter and your eye is trained to know, like, from release point to, like, all right, this is where the baseball is going to end up so I can have my barrel meet the baseball right there. When a pitcher is using spider tack, the fastball would be spinning in a way to where it just stays on that same. That's why it looks like it's rising. It's not rising. It's just staying on that plane to where when the fastball is released and coming in and then naturally coming down because of gravity, it's just staying up on that plane. So when you're used to seeing a fastball a certain way and the spider tack is what's keeping it on that upward plane where it's just a straight line, that's why hitters were either swinging right under these pitches or they were just fouling them up because, it sounds different coming in. I mean, if you've ever, even at the high school level, if you've been in the batter's box against, I don't know, a fastball that's like anything higher than like 80, you hear that hiss. These things hiss like this is it's just a different experience. And you can tell. And it was almost like they were saying how like it was like fuzzy. Like when it was coming in, it was like fuzzy compared to being able to just like see like the white ball. It's
because of how fucking fast that baseball is spinning and those seams are ripping through the wind. Like we say it all, like 95 and plus, Joey, you're just listening for. You're not tracking 95 with your eye. You're just listening for it.
You ain't got to tell me, Dallas. I know, dude. You have to come after me, Joey. This is what 95 looks like. Dude, I've seen it, bro.
I've seen it, bro. I almost it. The last thing I want to ever have happen is to get hit by it, but I do at least want to have that.
I think we should set that up. I think you should absolutely feel what it's like. Like you want the whole experience, right?
I don't want to get I don't want to get hit.
I think that's something
I want to stand in against it for
Jake
sure.
And Joey. No, but I think you should just feel it too. That's the best.
I'm down to get hit. I'm down.
Yeah. It's the best way to really understand, because think about how easily you could separate yourselves as baseball personalities. Like, look, yeah, sure. The baseball players who do the podcast talk bullshit. Like, yeah, they've been hit. They've hit guys, whatever. How many of these baseball personalities, Jared, are just signing up for 95? Huh?
Dude, you know how I've thought about that
I don't
so
see
many times.
Anybody. Your boy Eric Sim, JUCO Bandit, he's not signing up to just wear fucking 95. He's not. He doesn't want to do that. He doesn't have it in him. This is a separator here. Not my decision to make. I'm just thinking about ways to really separate the pod. And I feel like that's a pretty good. I mean, you tell me, you show me another podcast that's lining up 3 out of 4 of the participants to get fucking drilled. Who else is sewing on 95? Show of hands? Nobody.
I'm down to do it.
Fuck yeah.
I've seen a guy do.
Jared, if Joe gets hit in the right spot, we're paying for a funeral. You know what I mean?
That's true.
Like there's a chance the baseball goes through, Joey.
I heard a guy say that it doesn't hurt that much. It's the same getting hit 95, 85, 75, same shit.
See?
That's what I heard.
See?
There's no fucking way that's true.
well, how else are you gonna find out? You gotta put the fucking work in. Carrabis, you want this shit? You want this life, Jared? You want this life? Show me you want this life.
I don't know. I got drilled in the fucking Field of Dreams game.
Jared, let me ask you.
Yeah.
You have the fucking balls. Do you have the fucking balls to just sew on a lily white fastball and wear it around town? Do you have the fucking balls? You fucking pussy. Unbelievable.
Are you going to do it too?
Well, Jared, I grew up in this life, Jared.
Oh, you bitch.
I grew up in this life.
You've never, what's the hardest fastball that you've gotten hit by? 91?
No. I wore 96 in my fucking left forearm in high school, and I didn't even have time to move. It was the hardest pitch I had ever seen. It hit me right in the fucking forearm. The bat instantly dropped, and I just stood there and like held my arm out and was like, I know this is broken. I can't even feel my hand right now. My entire arm just went completely numb. Completely numb.
Don't you ever like stop and think of how crazy it is that we do this as a sport?
I think about that, but I think about the hockey thing way more than I think about the baseball thing. Like those dudes are just okay with smashing that fucking little puck at somebody's face like regularly. And like if you get in the way of that, buddy, you're knocked the fuck out. Like you're missing an entire row of teeth. Like that's just, I don't know. They've come to terms with that a hell of a lot easier than I feel like baseball players come to terms with the fact that you're going to get hit. We grow up getting hit. You grow up learning that the ball doesn't hurt. You're going to be fine. You know, it fucking hurts and it sucks. But like, could you imagine being 8 and having to come to terms with you might get hit in the face with this baseball and it might knock out 7 teeth. But what we're going to need you to do is get right back up and just keep fucking skating.
Yeah.
Like, whoa. Okay. Like
the ball would just find me though. Like growing up, I got hit all the time. And then I got hit in the fucking head on the mound. I got hit. It was in practice.
You want to know who this happens to, Jared?
Who?
The worst kid on the team. That's who the ball finds.
No. You're saying like if the ball gets hit to you in a game, like the ball will find you. Like if you're not good. I'm saying like I would get drilled a lot as a hitter, and then I got hit in the head as a pitcher during a fucking practice. And then
like a comebacker.
They were so like normally how like they would do like the drill before a game and be like, all right, hit a ball to first, now hit a ball to second, hit a ball to short.
Infield
like
outfield?
Going in order. He was like, all right, so that everyone stays alert, I'm not going in order. He's like, everyone has to be ready. So he's like, it's not going to be left field, center field, right field. So just be ready. It could be coming to you at any time. So I'm on the mound. He fucking hits a ground ball to third base. I turn, watch him field it, and then turn towards center field to watch the throw go over to first base, and then I turn back at him, and there's a fucking line drive heading for my fucking head because he was trying to hit it to center field. And it just smoked me in the side of the head.
Wait, I thought the ball got hit to the third baseman.
It did.
So then the third baseman caught the ball.
Mm-hmm. Threw it to first.
And
then he threw it home. And then when I faced home, there was a fucking line drive coming from my skull, and it hit me in the head.
Why do you guys have a pitcher for infield, outfield? No one does that.
I don't know. I mean, it was a practice. So I don't know, but yeah,
that's how they do it out in Saugus, Joe.
That's what I'm saying. It's true.
Yeah,
it's Bush. That's Bush League, bro.
That way, we were a fucking AAU Cooperstown team, baby.
What is this? It's because Jared was 27 years old playing AAU baseball.
But yeah, I mean, I got hit a lot as a hitter. I got hit in the fucking head in that practice, and then
as far as Miles Michaelis is concerned, you deserved every fucking one of those.
Maybe. And then the last organized baseball league that I played in was 2010, and then we played in that fucking Field of Dreams game, and I got hit. I mean, it's not even like, yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. The ball just finds me. It's not a matter because like I always
made. It's so funny to me now that you got it.
I mean, so did Gomes. Me and Gomes were the only two dudes that got hit in that game.
But you, it's just funny that you got hit because of all the shit talking, all the hype. You're a big gadget guy, glasses, armband, elbow protector. Like
I got hit in the fucking elbow. Joke's on you.
You didn't even tuck your fucking jersey in. I think you were wearing.
Well, that's White Sox Dave's fault. They fucking the baseball pants that they bought for me were children's pants, so I couldn't fit in them. Everyone was like, "Oh, look at this dude disrespecting the game because he won't even wear baseball pants. He won't tuck his pants in." I was wearing fucking Under Armour Rock joggers because the baseball pants that they got for me were children's mediums.
Well, to be fair, it wasn't that they didn't fit. You just didn't like the style.
No, they didn't fit.
Oh, are you sure?
I couldn't even get it. I tried to put them on. I couldn't get in those pants. So yeah, I was like, if I'm not gonna wear these baseball pants, then I'm just gonna go full asshole. I didn't wear a hat. People were mad about that. I was like, sorry, my fucking hair is unbelievable.
You wake up and you spit in the face of the baseball gods, and then you wonder why the baseball finds you.
I guess.
I mean, you just do the fucking math.
I was wearing actually, fun fact, little Easter egg for the Name Redacted podcast fans out there. That Evo shield that I was wearing in the Field of Dreams game where I got hit on the Evo shield, I was molding it during the interview with Luke Voigt in the RV.
Yeah, the fucking year before, or 3 years before.
Yeah. It was spring of 19. Yeah, spring.
Luke's just looking at Jared. Dude, what are you... I think he even stopped the interview. He's like, "What the fuck are you? What are you doing?"
It's like I'm molding an Evo shield.
It's like I'm molding an Evo shield on my arm. It looks like, yeah.
Bro.
All right.
Yeah.
What's the rule with that, Dallas? How much service time do you need to pull off that before it's not Bush?
To pull off
3
an
years.
Evo shield?
3 years service time?
No, come on. I'm a huge style monkey. I love but you got to be able to pull it off. Like you got to be able to.
I could pull it off.
All the shit off.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, Jared is the kid who absolutely gets out of the minivan and has his glasses on, has his batting gloves on, has the fucking arm sleeved up. Yeah. He's wearing his fucking shin guard. He's wearing his elbow protector. He's already got his mouth guard in. Mm-hmm. Jared, huge gadget guy.
You should have seen, dude. When I was in high school, I had the wristbands where it was like it had like the white lettering on it, and then you would just use the red Sharpie. It was like a red wristband, but you would use like the Sharpie on it to make your number on it. Cause like Manny, like I bought on eBay the Dominican flag iron-on patch.
Jesus.
And I had white wristbands that I'd ironed the Dominican flag onto these white wristbands, and I would get into the batter's box with like a red wristband on my left with my number on it, and then the right wristband would be the Dominican flag. And no one said anything to me. No one ever was like, "Dude, what are you doing?" I was like, "Dude, I am Dominican. Like, what do you want me to say?"
What an asshole.
That is so fucking funny.
I would have the red, blue, and the black long fighting necklace with like the fucking Oakley blades and like the Under Armour tight shirt underneath, and then the Dominican wristbands.
You could pull off maybe a different line. You look like Ender Inciarte a little bit.
Yeah.
But not the DR.
I still have pictures. I have pictures of all of this.
Fucking Jared. And I'm sure it's great. I mean, because if we're being honest, Jared, you look like you had a terminal virus when you were.
Yeah, I did.
When you were.
I mean, I wasn't good. I don't know if I ever got a hit in high school. Maybe one. Maybe a couple. I don't know.
And here you are bitching about not getting any love for your fucking high school baseball Hall of Fame.
Well, I mean, I should have been a pitcher only
in high school. Should have been a pitcher only.
Yeah, and the only reason why
sticking you out in right field. That's
the only reason why I didn't get hits in high school was because I was afraid of the ball. Because I would always get hit, and I was 113 pounds, and if I got hit, I would turn into dust. But on the mound, different story. I should be in the Hall of Fame. Imagine trying to keep fucking
afraid of the baseball.
Imagine trying to keep like Roger Clemens out of the Hall of Fame because like had like 2 hits in his career. That's what you just tried to say to me.
You're afraid of the baseball.
I was afraid of the baseball back then. I was afraid. Who wouldn't be afraid of the baseball if they were a literal skeleton coming to the plate? Like, do you understand how much it hurts to get hit by a baseball when you're that skinny?
Yes, I do.
It makes a difference, does it?
Yes.
There's no padding. I didn't have muscle. I didn't
Joey,
have fat.
Quit trying to weasel out of this. You're getting 96 to the fucking rib cage.
I will. I can't wait to do it. And as soon as no matter what happens, I'm just gonna say it doesn't
if you don't,
that much.
Trust me, if you don't walk away from that at bat with a mild case of scoliosis, I have not done my job by lining up the correct arm to put one in your spine.
Dude, it will fucking hurt for a second. But then forever I can say it doesn't actually hurt. Every time someone gets hit, like, yeah, all right, dude, it hurts like barely.
That's right. Right after you get drilled, right after you absorb that pain, you just look at the camera and say, this shit didn't fucking hurt. I mean, you'll have that forever.
What's the best way to do it? Off a machine or a real pitcher?
Oh, no, I want you to feel the human element here. I want you to see, like, it's kind of like a crime, like a heat of passion crime. Like I want you to feel the personalness of it, the closeness of it. I want you to see the human being, feel their presence, and then feel the baseball.
Who are we gonna get for this?
Jared.
Jared, the number of pitchers they would volunteer to hit you with a fastball is astronomical.
Like I could I'll send out a tweet right now. Hey,
no,
just need a volunteer.
Who do you think would be the first
bonding exercise?
Who do you think would be the first pitcher to volunteer?
Who do I think what?
Who do you think would be the first pitcher to volunteer?
First pitcher to volunteer.
Yeah.
Current or retired. Probably Jared Weaver.
Yeah, but that's not going to hurt.
You don't.
I can probably catch that and throw it back to him.
Wait. So you pretty much just penciled Weaver in. Is what you just done.
Yeah. I mean, if he was throwing 82 in the big leagues, like 6 years ago, what's he throwing now?
I just talked to a guy. I just talked to a buddy of mine who he's still throwing. Like he doesn't have any serious intentions of pitching,
playing professionally again. Yeah,
but he's like, bro, I still got 94 in the tank. I was like, no shit. He was like, yeah, just out here throwing bullpens at the farm. Just fucking put up a gun. He's like 92, 93. Reached back, got 94. I was like, so what do you got? Are you fucking shutting down shop and coming back? He's like, oh no, it's just fun to chuck it every now and then.
Yeah.
So
you never know, man. I could throw 94. Who the fuck knows? I haven't tried in a while.
Who the fuck knows?
So you take some time off, you start throwing harder.
That's something else I think we need to do is get a full skills assessment of Joey. Like I'll run you through a little circuit.
Combine?
Yeah, a little combine action. Get you 3 fly balls in the outfield. Have you track them, throw them, hit a cutoff man if you can. some ground balls. Maybe throw the gear on you. See how you do it blocking balls.
That'd be fun.
And then you step into the cage.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I might have 94 in the tank. Who knows?
Oh yeah.
You never fucking know.
And that guy, totally willing. Like he would probably fly up himself. Like, yeah, fuck, I'll fly up.
Do I know this guy?
No. I mean, you know who he is, yes, but you do not know him.
Know him personally?
No, But yeah, maybe I'll do that. I'll just send out a little tweet right now. Hey, just looking
just right now.
just looking for a pitcher who's interested. Could be an off day.
What if Garrett Cole is like, I'll do it? He would probably fucking throw a baseball through my ribcage.
Yeah, can we I just need confirmation from you guys that once I lock in a willing participant, that there's no backing down here. I need this signed in blood.
I mean, I would do.
Know what I would do? This is what I would do. I would face that person live at bat. If they strike me out, then they can hit me. But if I get a hit, then or if I think it should just be like if I get the ball, if I hit the ball fair, it counts. If that happens, then they gotta I don't know.
They gotta
do something. Do some fucking. I'll hit them, bro, and it's probably gonna hurt them more.
It's probably gonna hurt them more.
No, I think we're getting a little off track here, and it needs to just be understood that all three of you need to need to feel the authenticity of getting drilled, just so you can speak about it on a level of intelligence that you haven't been able to until now. That's
for science.
That's all. It's absolutely for science. It's for the.
I mean, Carl was a D1 college baseball pitcher, and he hit me. I get it, dude. I get it.
Yeah, Carl was on the team for sure.
Yeah, I was in the trenches.
Program.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I know. A fucking. Actually, wasn't the dude that we faced in the first inning? Didn't he have like 90 something in the tank? My perception of velocity.
91.
Yeah, like so. I went up there, faced him. Came back to the dugout, and I forget who it was. Someone was like, what's he got? And I was like, I don't know, like high 70s. And they were like, we got him at 91 on the gun. I was like, okay. All right. And it was 91.
See, dude?
So then 91. Whoa, what are you asking me for?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. High 70s maybe. Yeah, it didn't look, no disrespect to him, but I just, it's my perception's off.
Speaking of the disrespect, I feel like in baseball, it's becoming... Because we see it in the NBA all the time. Courtside seats, someone saying something, and you'll have Kevin Durant turn around and just call somebody's mother a whore. Fuck you. Fuck your mom. I mean, he doesn't do that. It's usually somebody calling his mom a name.
The Nets are the softest team in the league.
But KD will turn around and just let you have it. Like, come on, KD, you got to lock this down. You need to shut the fuck up, bro. Like, oh, hey, you're right. My bad. I'm not in the team huddle. That's
nice.
That's on me. Just trying to have your back here, brother. But yeah, you're right. Fuck me. My bad. But Joc Pederson was getting shit talked to him the other day, and probably hits a bomb, and then comes back around, hits home plate, and just looks in the fucking stands. It's like, fuck you, pussies. Thoughts on fan interaction these days? Thoughts on that type of fan interaction these days?
Yeah, you asked for it. Like, what was the direct quote? I'm gonna look for it right now.
I guess what I'm.
I think he said, "Suck my dick, you fucking pussies."
No, he said, "Say it again, you fucking pussy."
Yeah.
Or say that again.
Where is it?
Because Jared, if he says what you said earlier, that could be perceived as aggressive.
Yeah,
and I don't know that.
I don't think he'd be the first athlete to say "suck my dick." The aforementioned Kyrie Irving said that too.
Correct, but that wasn't well received either, and
it actually became the Celtics' rallying cry. I think they won like 13 straight games after Kyrie said "suck my dick."
Yeah, no one will ever forget that 2-week stretch where the Garden was just going off with chants of "suck my dick."
That's basically what happened. But yeah, I mean, like if you're gonna chirp a professional athlete and then they immediately come through, they have every right to tell you to suck their dick, you pussy. They have every right to say that. Like that's why I guess like that video that Joey did on Bryce Harper it makes his story all the more impressive because like when he was a teenager, he was getting chirped by fans.
Grown men.
He was getting chirped by fans. He was getting chirped by the opposing players. He was getting chirped by the opposing team's coaches.
Yeah.
And then he still performed. He still was hitting homers. And then instead of holding these grown men accountable, like you're a grown man chirping a teenage phenom, Bryce was the one that was getting all the criticism for blowing a kiss at the pitcher or like telling the other team to fuck off. Like it makes no sense. So I'm all for it. If you're getting chirped that hard and you want to, especially after you perform, like it's not like Joc was getting chirped and called timeout to be like, hey, fuck you in the stands and then struck out. He didn't say anything, hit a bomb, which by the way, gave the Giants the lead at the time, crossed home plate and then called them fucking pussies. I'm all for that. But you gotta perform.
That. He kind of did do that though. He literally called time to like look at the guy. Like, what the fuck? When does that ever happen when someone's chirping like that and the guy literally steps out of the box? Like before you hit a home run, that's a bad sign. Like, is he really letting this guy get in his head that much? He's got to call time. You're like, what's going on, Joc?
That's why I was like, so the reaction, like it. Hey, I'm all for it too. I'm just saying, I think about ways to bring fans and baseball players closer together because they've literally put a divider between fans and players, but for safety purposes, which I am all for. But there's got to be ways that these folks can interact with each other, and still keep it lighthearted, but still be able to get your digs in as a fan. And players should be allowed to respond without fear of like public retribution or public persecution. I don't want to hear people talking about how terrible of a role model Joc Pederson is. Like I don't even want to take my kid to a game because what? Because the guys you're sitting next to who are grown adults are berating another grown adult that they've never even met, but they're doing it because they paid money to come and sit in this seat and do that. So you're okay with that. But God forbid the dude that they're reaming and just berating actually do what he's trying to do and then come back and tell you to fuck off. You don't want that, huh? That's where you draw the line. Is the guy that's being harassed actually succeeds and comes back and tells you to kiss his ass. You don't want that. That's where he's
Who
a bad
wouldn't
person.
want that? Who wouldn't want that? That's
exactly.
Imagine being at the game right next to that guy and Joc Pederson just rails into him. You're right next to him.
Oh, because I tell you right now, if I'm with Jared and Jared is running his mouth to somebody at home plate and they drop dick, the minute that they drop the bat, my phone goes like this. Whoop. I am in Jared's face. The whole trip around the bases, because as soon as that dude hits home, he's going to have some words. And I'm going to watch Jared just get fucking egg thrown all over his face and have to sit there and wear whatever it is.
That happened every time I went to Oakland.
That's coming his way.
Every time I went to Oakland, the whole fucking dugout had something to say.
One of the greatest, has Joey seen the clip of the guy, the fan yelling at you?
I think I saw that.
Yeah.
I think I did.
Top of the dugout. Just epic, Joey, because Jared couldn't say a fucking word. Nothing to say.
I mean,
the Red
no
Sox just got no hit.
What about tonight, Carrabis?
Jared tried to deflect. Well, what about tonight, Carrabis? What about tonight?
Yeah, like the Red Sox are still going to win the series. That's fucking tomorrow. What about tonight? Tonight, Carrabis.
So
say something.
I want that played at my funeral.
Say something. He just wanted to get validated. That's all.
What I'll say is, do you think he's going to get fined for that? Anything?
Probably undisclosed.
Did Straw get fined?
Probably.
I could see him getting fined too. Yes.
Yeah,
because Tim Anderson got suspended for flicking a guy off. Suspended.
Did he really?
Yeah,
he did.
Wait, earlier this year?
Yeah, like last week.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What did you get? A game?
A game. Doing a fucking quick. What the fuck is that? People are getting in fans' faces, screaming, "Say it again, pussy!" And they get nothing. Like, why do you get suspended for that?
Just because the cameraman got him suspended, really?
Yeah, the camera. They exposed the man. Snitches, dude. It's the world against Tim Anderson, really. But they're always fucking with that guy, man. They are.
Tim Anderson has been the focus of some unwarranted emotion at times. I'll say that. It's because people don't like guys that play with emotion.
Well, there's a lot of guys who play them, but it's like the league suspending him. What I'm talking about. I'm not saying like fans hate him, but I'm saying like he got like the umpire shit, and I don't even know if I even saw that clip really and dissected it, but he got suspended for that. The bat flip, he got suspended for that. Remember that? He got suspended for saying the N-word.
He got suspended for that?
Because he like said, he was like yelling. I think they said that because he said the N-word. It's like, yeah, maybe he has a pass, MLB, maybe.
I didn't know
if I remember
that he got
correctly.
Suspended for that.
Because he got it was because of the fight afterwards.
Oh. Yeah, that makes sense.
And the middle finger?
I mean, the middle finger, come on. Like, that's something that you slap a fine on him just to something that it's like, all right, a little $10K fine. Doesn't have to be anything like we got to set the tone. We got to crack down on the middle finger in Major League Baseball.
You got second graders flipping off their language arts teachers these days.
Yeah.
I don't condone it. Just saying it happens.
Yeah. Yeah. Suspension is a little bit much.
Can we take just 2 seconds?
Sure.
Just 2 seconds to celebrate an individual who, Jared, you and I have had to deal with a lot of verbal bashing of, well, I have anyway, over the last few years. And it's not without justification, but as we sit today, as we sit right now, Eric Hosmer
yeah.
of the San Diego Padres is having a pretty good go.
So he's chasing down Teddy Ballgame right now, Dallas.
Hitting well over 400.
Yeah. And I know that somewhere they're up in tasty nug heaven. The Jay Hay would be smiling down right now.
That fucking nerd.
He'd be smiling down, proud of his boy, Eric Hosmer, for almost taking a 400 batting average into the month of May.
Yes. So Jay Hay, the Eric Hosmer love is for you.
Mm-hmm.
Just for you. Hitting 410 right now. Here's his slash line. 410, 463 with a 607 slug. That's good for an OPS north of 1,000.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
It's decent.
But it's not the best OPS.
No, it is not the best OPS.
No, who's that?
You're talking about for the
the League of Baseball.
For the Friars, the Major League of Baseball.
Mm-hmm.
You talking about like overall?
Overall, yeah.
Is it not Trout?
It's Mike Trout.
It's Mike motherfucking Trout.
Yeah. Does that feel right to you? Just
it does. It does. And honestly, the fact that I had to ask to confirm, like, Mike, is it Mike Trout?
Is it Mike Trout?
That almost makes it feel like it's really comfortable, like it's perfect, because that's what Mike Trout is greatness, and that is so calming. You almost forget about it. Like, oh, that's right. I typically always think it's going to be Mike Trout, the leader of whatever category we're talking about, but there's other guys who could be surprising you, or other guys who it might be. Mike Trout has typically been the go-to answer for any question like that. So to see that it's Mike Trout is, kind of feels like things are getting back to normal.
Nature is healing.
Does it not?
Yeah.
Because I'll tell you right now, the Angels, buddy, if they can get some fucking outs, the Angels might not be nothing to fuck with.
First
if
place,
they can get some outs.
First place.
The Angels might not be nothing to fuck with. Because
they can get...
What's that, Joe?
I'm just looking at their pitchers right now, and I'm like, they could win the World Series.
They could win the World Series.
They got Sandoval has a 0 ERA, so I think he's like the last guy or one of the last guys. What, 3? Yeah, 3 starts, 0 ERA. Shohei, you know who you got with Shohei, baby. Shohei. Syndergaard, me and Dallas predicted that, but he's fucking 2.21 ERA. He's back. He's hanging out on the beach, getting tan where he belongs. Then you got Lorenzen.
Yeah, he's been fucking a very pleasant surprise.
Lorenzen?
Yeah.
Is it safe to say that Lorenzen? Is it safe to say that Michael Lorenzen has done for Vans more than, or should I say, is Michael Lorenzen to Vans what Barry Bonds was to Fila?
I did not know that he
wears Vans. I know he does.
Deal with Vans.
Do you think they even pay him though? I feel like he just customizes those.
There's got to be. I'm sure there's a relationship at this point.
It is dope though. You never saw that, Jared? He wears Vans. He has cleats.
No,
they're off the wall, brother.
Oh, Joey, you fucking wordsmith, you.
Is there any concern with Shohei? Because
Whoa. Hey.
Is there any concern with Shohei? I mean,
why are you even throwing that around?
I'm just saying.
Now? What are you just saying?
16 hits. 16 hits in 19 and a third innings.
So less
9 earned runs.
Okay. That's not awesome.
5 walks, which is all right. But 30 strikeouts. 30 strikeouts in 19 and a third innings with a 4.19. It looks like he's gotten a lot. The FIP is 2.19.
Yeah, he had a blow up, man. That's it.
Yeah. The FIP is 2.19. The ERA is 4.19, so he's been unlucky, but looks like Lorenzen has been lucky because he's got a 2.93 with a 4.67 FIP.
Shohei, yeah, I'm not worried about Shohei.
So you're saying right now, Dallas, you've got the Los Angeles Angels winning the division. That's what you said?
That's not even remotely close to what
it sounds like that's what you said. You said there's no way that this team doesn't win the division.
No.
All right, Jake, put that on a quote card. There's no way the Angels don't win the division. Dallas Braden,
the Angels,
Oakland A's broadcaster. Please put that as the
fantastic.
Please put that as the subtitle. Oakland A's broadcaster Dallas Braden says there's no fucking chance the Angels don't go all the way this year. That's what he said.
The Halos are. They're in position to make a little noise right now. As we sit in this division, it's the fucking Halos and the Mariners atop the division. The Halos and the Mariners.
That's what everyone wanted.
The only question was always going to be, what is going on the mound with the Angels? And from there, can the lineup, and when you say can the lineup, it's really, can Anthony Rendon stay healthy? So that you get a good look at what this lineup could actually do, healthy 1 through 9, healthy together. What does this club look like? And I think you're starting to get a feel for it, and that's really not much. I don't want to say not much to do with Rendon. I mean, it's not like he's fucking knocking the cover off the baseball right now because he's not. But you get a dude like Taylor Ward. To start to break out the way he is right now. Mm-hmm. Like that's where shit starts to get really interesting. Because Taylor Ward is hammering the baseball.
He is. What's he got? He grand slam last night, 2 home run game off Beaver 2 nights before.
Oh, well, I noticed something too, Jared. I noticed that you have started to. Well, and I don't want to say started to, because you've always tweeted out. You've always tweeted out home runs.
Mm-hmm.
But you did use a bit of a filter early on where, you would maybe steer away from tweeting a home run off a guy who you may or may not have a relationship with, or even if you did, you would kind of preface it with, this hurts me to do.
Put it this way. If I tweet a home run video and it's off a pitcher that I'm friends with, I don't do caps.
Yeah, and if I'm being honest, like you start firing off tweets about Biebs giving up tanks, and I'm not happy about it. I'm not thrilled about it. You know how I feel about the man and his lovely family.
Mm-hmm.
And so for you to start to
I love his family.
For you to start to drag the Bieber name through the mud.
I didn't do that. I'll read you the tweet.
Please do.
Because I think it was more than fair what I said.
Okay.
Because I'll
be determined.
I gave acknowledgement to the outing that Shane Bieber was having. I said, have a fucking night, Taylor Ward. Dude has taken on Biebs single-handedly because at the time that was his second home run and he had driven in all 3 runs. He had a solo and a 2-run shot. Pitch number 100 of Shane Bieber's outing, he was spinning a gem with the only blemish being the other homer to Taylor Ward. Joey, let me ask you: that's about as complimentary as you can get for the pitcher in a clip where you're tweeting a home run that he gave up?
Honestly, I think you took that way too far.
You think I took it too far?
You were too nice to Biebs.
See?
Whoa,
too nice.
Whoa,
I'm too nice.
Biebs is a grown man. He doesn't need he knows he pitched a good game. We need to keep the focus on Mr. Ward.
Yeah.
Sorry, Biebs.
We
Joe,
love
I
Beeps.
just want you to understand something. It's a man who welcomed Jared and I into his family's home
Well, they rented it.
on one of the most exciting days of their life.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm sure he got something out of that too. You know, it was more of a mutual.
We got him a bottle of
you
Ace
know.
of Spades.
You got him a gift. You got
I did.
you got the thing on video. That video will last forever. Memories. What is it? They're gonna have the video forever.
Yeah.
So honestly, he kind of
That's-
owes
you
you.
You should write for Hallmark, Joey. That was beautiful.
Yeah,
That was beautiful.
it was a beautiful video. It was a beautiful season. But what I'm trying to say is that you don't know Bieber anything, man. You gotta,
Wow.
Wow. Strong words.
yeah,
Very
Biebs.
Strong words.
But good game the other day. You pitched really well.
He did pitch really well. It's not his fault Taylor Ward decided to become Mickey Mantle.
Yeah. When I tell you this, like, and obviously the easy answer is Mike Trout, but as we said today, Taylor Ward, 395, 531 on base, 816 slug. He's slugging 816.
Mm-hmm.
And what I really like to see, 22% walk rate.
Mm.
That's tasty.
Former first rounder
That's
out
tasty.
of Fresno, California. So he's one of them cowboys.
Yeah.
First round, 26 pick by the Angels.
The Angels got Tyler Wade and Taylor Wade.
Taylor
Ward.
Taylor Ward.
Tyler Wade.
He's 28 years old.
They got both of those guys.
He's in his 5th big league season. Admittedly, I'd never heard of him before.
That's why it's called a breakout.
Yeah. Yeah. He went from playing 159 big league games over 4 years, hitting 230 with a 693 OPS, to this year hitting 395 with a 1346 OPS, which is, I think we can all agree, very sustainable.
Yeah. You think that's not, come on. That's here to stay.
Yeah.
That
We never
is-
got Stephen Kwan on the podcast.
Well, let's just use the same magic wand we did for Joe West.
Well, I mean, has he fizzled out?
Well, I think after he struck out, his wagon cooled a little.
I'm going to look it up right now. Stephen Kwan. I
I'd
feel
tell
like
you, he
people-
almost fucking saved the game against the Yankees. Ended up fucking eating it into that fence. That was hard.
He started off the season, his first 5 games, he was hitting 667 with a 1683 OPS. Since then, he's hitting 172 with a 518 OPS over his last 9 games, 33
Yes.
plate appearances.
So things have cooled just a touch.
Yeah.
It happens.
Hey, sometimes it happens. But even with a stretch that bad, he's still hitting 341 with a 956 OPS on the season.
And I
Stephen
think
Kwan.
he's hurt too. He
Well-
got a little banged up.
More time for him to come on the podcast. It is what it is. All right.
Did we talk
Was
about
that-
Acuña? We already did.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, I think we covered everything that was in the outline. But yeah, no, I have seen an uptick in pitchers reaching out to me, upset that I'm tweeting the home runs that they give up. And I'm like, listen, guys, if you want to see good stuff about you, you go to Pitching Ninja. He's got all he's got every pitching highlight that you ever want. I'm for hitter Twitter, and Pitching Ninja is for pitching Twitter. That's just what it is. I'm a home run guy. He's a carve him up guy. So I'm not going to name any names. I'm not going to name any names about anyone that's been upset.
Well, it
There's
feels like-
been
feels like you've got names.
well, one of them participated in rocket paper scissors, and I lost. So not only I think this individual was upset because I was tweeting out the homers and I haven't paid my debt to society yet with him. So, but I will eventually. I mean, I never said in the rules when I was going to do it. I mean, I just have to do it eventually, So we'll get there.
Is there? Hold on. Think we could kill two birds with one stone and have him drill you? Yeah. What?
You're just like Dallas has fantasized about just. First of all, I never even agreed to this. He just proposed the idea and was like, "All right, yeah, so I'll set it up and we'll get someone to just fucking crack your rib cage real quick and you can deal with that." And
Are you saying I'm out of line for wanting to watch a dude?
No, not at all.
So let's make this. Yeah.
I mean, if you do it too, though.
No. We've.
How come you don't want to do it? Why don't you want to?
Yeah, what the hell?
I've been there.
That's
done that.
great.
You haven't done that.
Where's some video proof?
Yeah, I haven't seen that happen.
I have ridden that horse.
I don't think you have.
Dude, these pitchers, they don't have a problem dishing it, but they can't take it, man. They'll throw one high and tight, but they don't want to wear one.
They really don't.
When it comes time, they get scared.
It's too bad.
I batted. Boys, I batted. I faced that music.
You haven't.
No way.
People knew better.
All right. Before we get out of here, Jake's takes. Do you have any Jake's take?
I was just going to say, for the record, I'll wear 98 to the ribcage just for the experience.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. Look at that.
Yeah, see?
Jake's ready to wear it.
Fucking player. Jake, weather right now.
46 degrees in Boston, mostly cloudy. Feels like 39, though. That's probably due to the 20-mile-an-hour winds coming from the northeast.
Ooh, little northeasterlies, a little chilly.
Yep.
Where are you right now? That looks like a really nice house.
I'm up in Swampscott at my dad's place.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Swampscott.
And that's been your weather report.
Thank you, Jake.
No problem.
I guess we'll be back on Monday. I'll be on MLB Network today and tomorrow.
Oh, what time?
I think 4 maybe. I think it's 4 today. I don't know what time tomorrow. I can only deal with things once at a time. I mean, I woke up today. I was like, all right, I got to wake up at 8, make sure I get in the shower so I can shower before, do the podcast. And then we have like the production meeting is at noon.
So how does Uncle Manfred like it? Does he like it in a like plastic bottle? Is it like in a ice jug? His water. How does he like his water?
Yeah, I see what you did there. Got it. You know, it's funny to me because every time I've actually run into Mr. Manfred with Dallas, I mean this fucking fraud can't shake his hand fast enough.
That's
Mr. Manfred. Nice to see you, Mr. Manfred. Oh, it's so good to see you, Mr. Manfred.
No. He's the fucking dude that comes up to me.
But yeah, I mean, you could blow him off, but
I could. You're right. I could blow him off, but there's eyeballs
choose
on
to
the
do
commissioner
something else,
of baseball
don't you?
when we're at the fucking All-Star game. So yes, I'll shake his hand.
Yeah, I bet you do.
He's not invited to the birthday party.
Mm-hmm.
Just know that.
Yeah.
He's invited mine. I'd hang out with him. I never say bad. I actually am the only one who likes him.
I don't have a problem with him.
I got no problem, Mr. Manfred.
Yeah.
I
think he's a good man.
I can't wait.
He's a good man.
I can't wait to watch you writhe on the ground in fucking agony, just begging for CPR after 98 has just penetrated your fucking chest cavity.
Look forward to it.
Joe, can I get you some?
Dallas is going to be the one making fun of everyone while also refusing to do it himself.
It's going to... Oh, man, it's going to sound like a bunch of fucking seals hanging out on a rock.
All right. On that note, let's see. Before we get out of here, we got any good series coming up this weekend? Anything good?
The history-making Oakland Athletics have the day off today. I know you were worried about that.
Yeah, no one really cares.
You're not going to miss any A's baseball.
Oh, Blue Jays Astros again? Okay, sign me up for that. That was a great series. Phillies Mets should be good again. Cubs Brewers is always entertaining. I guess Dodgers Tigers has potential. And that's really it. The Red Hot Red Sox going up against the ferocious Baltimore Orioles. So,
Ooh.
All right, we'll see. All right, everyone, enjoy your weekend of baseball. We'll be back on Monday.
We gone.